Oh, okay, he's not here. We'll have Commissioner Vila Vasquez do it. Prayer. Please everybody stand for the prayer.
I'm just going to ask everyone to bow their heads and do your own prayer or your silence, moment of silence, as you would like yourself to be heard. Amen.
I'd like to call Principal Dr. Miller up. Here we are. Mr. Hernandez and Dr. Miller. If y'all want to stay, we're about to do the Pledge of Allegiance, so they can stay up here. Did any one of you guys know the Pledge of Allegiance? Now, which one of y'all knows the Pledge of Allegiance? You're going to start it. Flags over here.
Flags over here. There you go. Pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right.
There you go. That's good. That turned out very well. That was Deltona Lakes. Now, if we could do approval of minutes for approval of the regular commission meeting January 2nd.
So moved.
Second.
Roll call, a vote.
Just a vote here. Oh, it's a vote.
Makes it easy to vote. Commissioner McCool? Motion passes 5-0. Presentation, Annual Holiday Parade Awards. Yeah. Sorry, we're just taking a pause, let the rest of the people leave the room.
Okay.
Moving on with the agenda, Annual Holiday Parade Awards. Yeah, I think we're going to have to go downstairs, go down front, and pass out the trophies. I invite third place for the parade would be best overall is Studio B Dance Academy.
There you go. Get everybody. There you go. Let's kids. There you go. All right, on three. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. All right. Thank you, guys.
We got a tie for second place. See it for best overall. Read that.
Okay. For second place, we have the best overall Iglesia del Nazareno Nueva Vida.
And Deltona High School Band.
Felicidades.
Gracias.
In the center. You guys get in the center. Commissioner on either side. All right, on three. Here we go. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you.
All right. Congratulations. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Thank you.
Okay, the next for tie for second place, best overall from the city of Deltona is Deltona High School Band.
All right, Deltona High in the middle. Commissioners on either side. See, get over here. Yeah, there we go. All right. Here we go. On three. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. All right, thank you guys. I'm done.
First place, best overall Advent Hell Fish Memorial.
Great work,
You see that big red face.
All right, hold on, Steve, come over here a little bit. There you go. All right. On three, guys. 1, 2, 3. One more. 1, 2, 3. Thank you. Next up.
See, now you know why I gave that one to Birds to read.
You should have made him pronounce it.
And moving on. I have to change things, Mr. City Manager. Glenn, do you want to have Mr. Bays in here? Come up and do his?
Yes, sir.
Okay. We're going to skip one and go to Mr. Basinger so we can get him his presentation. Which is under new business, but we're going to do it now and get that out of the way. Mr. Basinger?
Well, thank you very much. I didn't expect it to go quite this early. Colin Benzinger and Associates at Daytona Beach Shores. What I'm here tonight to do is to discuss the salary range that we want to put out to advertise your city manager position. We have prepared an analysis, and I believe the commission's seen it. I think it was part of the agenda package. Basically, if you're looking for a city manager, you have a number of factors to consider. First of all, somewhat obviously, I guess, the higher the range, the better the candidates. It's not always true, but it does help. Most city managers are not willing to take a reduction to go to a new job. People with prior city CEO experience when selecting a position are typically paid more than those who have not been a CEO yet. The city manager position in Deltona is budgeted at about $209,000. Mr. Whitcomb, as the interim, is currently making a whole lot less than that. The next highest paid employee in the budget would be the deputy city manager. It's budgeted for $172,000. Typically, a city manager makes 5 to 10% more, at least, than his or her next highest position. So that would suggest a salary of up to $190,000 almost. Managers who are in the market are often looking at more than one opportunity. That said, of course, Deltona is a pretty nice place to live, so that works in your favor. On the other hand, we haven't had a permanent city manager in 5 years, and that's going to cause some pause for some of the candidates. 4 years. A good city manager will operate a well-run city. A great city manager will do the same, but also probably save you money. What we did was, my firm conducts a salary survey every year of Florida city managers. We took cities that were 15,000 less in population up to cities more than 15,000 more. So it was roughly from cities with populations of 80,000 to 110. Deltona being roughly 95,000, according to the figures we saw. That would suggest, and the salaries, if you can believe this, run from about 182 up to 360 almost, with an average of 242. If we were to accept that range, it would suggest a salary range of 205 to 280. Now, those salaries include a lot of cities in metropolitan areas, and they do tend to be paid more, particularly in South Florida. So we looked at just the kind of cities in the area with similar populations, and we had to go down a little bit lower in the population range, go a little higher in order to get a reasonable number of comparables. The lowest salary in the range was basically 182. That was Palm Coast, which was pretty comparable in size. The highest was 277. It's Daytona Beach. and the rest were in between. The average was about 208 for those cities, which is actually what you've got budgeted. What we suggest, and typically we say 15% of the average, take 15% less than the average, 15% more than the average to establish a range. That range would suggest a salary being advertised at 185 to 250. Our recommendation is 180 to 240. And it should be noted that even though you establish a range, which is pretty high, that you don't have to pay that salary. You can interview the candidates, and if you see somebody who just blows your socks off and you might need to pay that, then you can. If you see someone else that's paid quite a bit less, that you like a lot, then you can hire that person and pay a lot lower salary. But the bottom line is our recommended range is 180 to 240, and I'm presenting that for your consideration.
Is there any questions? You said 180 to 240. Recommendation to us. Any questions? Commissioner McCool?
Thank you. Mr. Basinger, I have read this along with met with you on here for the salary considerations. And, you know, the thing is that there are like over 400 cities in the state of Florida. And I'm sure after looking at this list here on the salary considerations, the cities, as stated by the commissioner sitting next to me also, these are beach cities. And we have a unique situation here in Deltona in the fact that we're a bedroom community, you know, and what we are trying to do, part of the mission and goal is to build our commercial base and such. With that being said, what I would like to see, I have looked myself at the salaries at cities close to us in proximity, considering things like what is their economic standing, what is their economic forecast, how many, what's the population, what is the business to residential ratio, things like that. So what is the average gap in the range that you ask? Because as you stated, you know, we're depending on the commission and on our citizens committee to bring forth candidates. Mm-hmm. What is that gap in the salary range? Because I don't want to offer a blanket salary until we figure out who we're getting. We can't assign that until we get to applicants. You know, we had a resident brought up some very well thought out numbers that we need to consider also. So could you make that recommendation to us? I know that you said, but that's like 180 to 240. That's substantial. Is that? Is that what we move forth with here until we have such a process of knowing who the candidates are?
When you go out to recruit, you need to give the candidates some idea of what they might be paid. So, yes, that's what we would recommend, that you use that range, and once you know the candidates, then you can decide how much you want to offer. Mm-hmm. Some candidates, if they're relatively young in their career in terms of being a city manager, I'm not talking about young necessarily in age, but they're probably paid quite a bit less. And so in a smaller city to move up to Deltona, they would need a lower salary. They wouldn't need a salary this high. But someone who's very experienced and has proven themselves could demand near the top of the range. Again, you're competing against other cities, and it's just a question of how competitive you want to be.
Okay.
Any other questions? Commissioner Caldwell?
How many city managers are you currently shopping around for, and how many city are actually looking for city managers at this moment that you're representing?
We are representing 2, but there's at least 2 that I can think of off the top of my head that we're not representing. They're much smaller. St. Pete Beach and New Smyrna Beach. I'm not sure how many others are actively looking for city managers at this point in time. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Two that you know of that are looking for city managers?
Once again, please.
Two cities that are currently looking for city
There's
managers?
at least 4 right now.
Thank you.
In Florida, that doesn't, of course, the rest of the country is another story.
Public comments?
William Mulberry, and then Albert Bryan.
Hello, good evening, Commissioners. So there's no District 2 representative up on the dais tonight, and so I just want to put out my opinions and thoughts and comments for your consideration as a resident of District 2 and also as a candidate who's running for the position up there of Commissioner of District 2. Basically, for this one, I think it's a no-brainer. We have to compensate any kind of city manager that we want to bring in here, and if we can do that with money to, again, compensate versus some of the challenges that they're going to be facing coming in here, we're not handing them a blank slate. We're not handing them an easy job. So if we can use money as an incentive to bring in really good talent, I'd say go for that. But I trust everybody's going to make a good decision on the final candidate list to get us the best value for that money. So just wanted to put that forward. I would vote for this. Go team. Thanks.
Albert Bryan, please.
Albert Bryan, Deltona. You know, it's nice to have Chisholm's budget in here to shove it up a little higher than we really should be. $208,000. But what caught my eye was number 5 is the fact that they're using the assistant city manager or deputy manager, 172. That's $8,000 over the last interim manager. And then I find the fact that they say that we haven't had a permanent city manager in 5 years, which is just a flat-out lie, because y'all made Chisholm a permanent manager before he resigned. So, I mean, really? And we're paying them how much? Oh, come on now, people. Okay, that takes care of that part of it. Let's go to the next one. Oh, when you're looking at these charts, did they say anything about the actual tax base of these cities that they're showing? Because the tax base that they're showing is anywhere between 65 and 85% commercial. Just the opposite of what we have here in Deltona. So that has no bearing on squat. Now, let's go to the last page. The last page, it shows Port Orange, Daytona Beach, Palm Coast, Melbourne, and Palm Bay. All but one of those have a police department. So we could knock $25,000 right off the top of that salary. Come on, people, use common sense. Nobody even questioned that. Nobody questioned the tax base. This is ridiculous. If you want to set a salary between 2 marks, fine. Start at 165 and go to 199. To go any higher than that is a joke, because you're putting that salary on all these people out here, not the businesses. We have a 75% residential tax base in Deltona and an 8 to 12% business tax base in Deltona. None of the cities that they put in this little thing that they gave out is that way. None of them. So what they're saying is that they want you to okay a salary that's going to put a burden on the, oh, that's right, we did that with the attorney too, didn't we? Just shove it down our throats. What have we gotten? We tried to pay people really good. 10 years ago. What did it get us? Oh, that's right. She said that she took and did the voting here at this. This was her home. So you want to pay somebody a big amount of money? No. First year, we start out 165. You have good evaluations, we'll go up 20%. Second year, you have good evaluations, we'll go up 10%. And from then on, we'll look at 3%. Do this the right way, people. Oh, and since we changed our charter to where they can live outside, it needs to be told to them that if they come to our city, they live outside our city, we don't pay their moving expenses. They move in here, we'll think about paying up to 75% of their moving expenses. That's the way it should be. But this doesn't even look at that. How good of a job are they actually doing for you?
Richard Bellick, please.
Good evening. Mrs. McCool, did I hear you say you don't want to have a city manager with a blank check? You got a city attorney with a blank check. Make the city manager, make him equal. Let him have a blank check too. Excuse me? I can't hear you. Oh, Mr. Starozak, our city attorney over here, you all said she can't do the job, she's incompetent, okay? Miss McCool's going to save her legacy. She has a blank check, the city attorney. It's crazy. Now you want to make the city manager commit to a salary, but you didn't make her commit to a salary, and her salaries are huge, $500,000. I heard $700,000. You do nothing about her, but yet you all said she's incompetent, she can't do the job. And Mrs. McCool, our brave stalwart, is going to save her legacy. Let her pay some of the money back, McCool. Can you hear me, McCool? Let her pay some of the money back. All right. Hey, I have to be careful, you know. I mean, I've been elevated. I mean, I'm a national asset to Deltona now. I mean, I got to get my points across. But to sit here 1 week and hear somebody like her say, I'm going to save her legacy, after she took a couple of million out of Deltona. You people, there ain't enough of you here to raise hell, but this is crazy. And let's get back to, how many city managers she been here for that didn't work out? 5? I mean, to listen to her with these long speeches, I mean, it's buffoonery. At least the other one there keeps quiet. I mean, come on. She can charge whatever she wants. Month after month, month after month, she does what she wants. Nobody says nothing. Then, when everybody says she's incompetent, she should be fired, you just don't vote for it. Then, we got the knight in shining armor over here, Mrs. McCool, Mr. Starozak. She's going to change her legacy. Make her pay the money back. Get an accountant. Call the cops on her. You might be better doing that. I mean, this is a joke. To hear you is buffoonery. You want my advice? You just can't pick a winner. Let this guy stay here. Give Glenn a shot. Give him a 6-month or a 1-year period. He's better than what you had. So what do you want to do now? You don't want to see him get elevated? I wish that other one here was here, the mayor, the guy that couldn't even get a lease. He had to have his PIO co-sign his lease. But he ain't here tonight. I don't know where he is. I mean, I'm only being fair. She has a blank check. She charges what she wants. And nobody says a word. Now, all of a sudden, Mrs. McCool says, we don't want a city manager with a blank check. She gave her a blank check for years. She's saving her legacy. Can you imagine that? Somebody robs you, and then you save their legacy. I mean, this is new to me. She's been robbing Deltona for how long? So let Glenn get in there and rob a few bucks. He ain't a bad guy. Give him a shot. Do the right thing here. Use your brain. You ain't gonna pick nobody right. You're not.
David Sosa, please.
Dave Sosa, just going to keep it brief. The salary requirements are going by are absurd. I mean, you look at Deltona, I think Albert's touched on it. It's majority residential, so there's not a lot for a city manager to do. I'm just kidding, Glenn. There's a lot to do. But it doesn't warrant the salary that they're looking for. If you look at the county manager, he makes $245,000, and that's after 25 years. So to bring somebody in at 208 as a minimum is ridiculous. Also, when I was looking at that, it stated that our assistant city managers got bumped up to 175. When I was here less than a year ago, 2 years ago, it was 135. So why a 40,000 jump in there? I think that had something to do with Chisholm. He was very generous with our money. Now, I'm looking for you guys to get the best bang for the buck, because obviously you gave Chisholm a $40,000 raise, and we didn't get anything for it except screwed.
Vice Mayor, that closes public comments.
I'm going to make a couple comments, Commissioner McCool, and I'll go back.
This agenda item. No.
Yeah, I can.
No, you can't.
This item. Yeah, I want to just make a couple comments, and I don't know where this is going. I'll give it back over to you, Commissioner, in a second. But I have to agree with a lot of the residents, and my only thing is, I think it should somewhere go between 160 and stop at 200. I made a mistake one time pushing another city manager, and I got bit in the backside for it, because it turned out to be a bad decision on my end, what I tried doing. So I would like to see it go somewhere between 160 and stop at 200. And we give benefits, we give all kinds of other stuff, and I think there's a lot of negotiation that could take place on that. But that's just my 2 cents on it. Commissioner McCool.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I wanted to clarify a couple of things. My reason for asking this is I have heard input also, and there is a reason, none of which anybody's been able to clarify, why we've gone through so many city managers. This is a very dysfunctional city, period, and anyone coming in here is going to have to be incentivized to come to this city. I am in agreement with our Vice Mayor regarding the salary cap. My salary cap is a little more generous at $210,000 because I understand what's out there, and I am fine capping at $210,000. But what I would say also is that we, in vetting who comes to us, needs to be a full understanding, and I think that we talked about this in our meetings with you about the challenges that were coming for Deltona. The reason I mentioned 411 cities is because there are more cities that look like us that aren't on this list that I would be interested in the comparables also, because these cities are beach cities also, which brings tourists, which brings different dollars, which brings different goals. So I think the comparison, the comps here to me are skewed in the fact that I need to understand the salary caps on these cities that look more like us with a larger residential base. And I would like for us to follow the schedule here, you know what I mean, of getting through. But in the research here, which I know that you have people on staff to do this, I want to see more cities with the residential capacity that we have. I mean, there's 411 to choose from. And the residency, you know, it looks different for every city. So when I talk about cities that look like us, I'm talking about having the number of residents that we have, what somebody else brought up, the residential that Mr. Bryant brought up, but also where we're at. We're in city, we're not close to the water. So if that can be brought back to us also and brought to the committee, the Citizens Committee, that would be great. And while we're on it, just to clarify also, I don't believe I ever spoke about the attorney's legacy. I said legacy knowledge, which is completely different. And so narrate the way you want to. I would just like to clear that up since it's so popular. Thank you.
Commissioner Villa-Vasquez?
Thank you, Vice Mayor. So the recommended salary is $180,000 to $240,000. That's a range. So it doesn't necessarily mean, it doesn't indicate what salary we have to hire someone under. That's the range that you're giving us to look at, to put out there, to get more applications to apply for this job. So it could be somebody at 180, or maybe somebody a little bit higher than that, but not necessarily 240. We're asking for experience. We're asking for a lot of knowledge. We're asking for more, supposedly, than what our previous managers used to have. I don't see a problem with this recommendation for 180 to 240 range. Again, doesn't mean that 240 is the starting salary. That is the range that it's being recommended to put out there to get better qualifying applicants. So if there's no other question, I'd like to make a motion.
If I could just say a couple words. First of all, the range we're recommending is based on the cities we looked at. I understand that there, frankly, if we picked cities between 80 and 110 in terms of population, those are the cities in Florida that meet that criteria. Now, we could also go to other cities that have less population or more population. In terms of in the center of the state, not on the beach, I don't know of very many cities that are like Deltona, and perhaps you've got some in mind I could look at. But the bottom line is, I think tax base is relevant, certainly. You have to figure out, and you have to know what you're willing to pay. And we'll go out and do the search at whatever salary range you decide to send us out at. It will possibly influence the quality of your candidates. Tax base is relevant. It's important because it does matter what you can pay. But if a city manager is looking at a city like Deltona that's going to cap its salary at $200, and he's looking at one in South Florida that's going to pay $240, the odds are he's going to look at the one at $240. But as I said, we're willing to go at whatever range you want to go. What I tell people is, you've got if you have a low salary range, you've got a small pond. That doesn't mean there aren't big fish in it. If you've got a higher salary range, you've got a big pond, chances are you've got more big fish. So, if you have a smaller range, we'll go look for big fish in that range. In response to one of the citizens' comments, he was quite correct that Mr. Chisholm was a permanent manager, but I kind of treated him as a temporary because he really didn't last very long. I do tend to agree with one comment, though, and that is that with respect to moving expenses, that is something I have recommended to clients, that if the manager is going to move into the city, that they pay the moving expenses, and if they want to live outside the city, that they don't. It's all subject to negotiation, however, once you make the hire. So having said that, whatever range you want to decide on, we've given you the numbers. Unfortunately, now you have to make a decision.
I would like to make a motion to approve a salary between $160,000 to stop at $200,000. Well, she started doing it. She didn't make a motion. She said, I'd like to make a motion, but that's it. She stopped.
Yeah, but you didn't give me the chance to make my motion.
I'll take my gavel.
I move to approve the city manager's salary as presented by Colin Benger.
Second. Motion fails without a second. Commissioner Burbank?
Thank you. I thought you'd forgotten about me. Ladies and gentlemen, if you want a dollar store city manager, you're going to offer a dollar store wage. There's also a short hairs factor there. Who the hell wants to come work here? I've talked to 3 or 4 former city managers, county managers, and mayors. We are hard up. We're going to get somebody younger, probably less experienced, but we want somebody with energy and vision. So I think premature right now to say what we're going to offer until we see what's out there. I like the idea of going back out and looking around some more. Thank you, sir. Appreciate your time.
I'm going to try this again. I'd like to make a motion for a salary from Basinger to
Pass the
start
ballot.
at 160 and end at 200. And then we can go from there.
Okay, there's a motion on the floor by Vice Mayor, salary starting at 160
Starting
to
at 200.
a range of 160 to 200,000 starting salary. Do I have a second motion?
I'm going to second it.
Second by Commissioner Stephen.
Working again. I'm seconding it.
Second by Commissioner Carwell. Can we call the vote, Joseph?
Thank you. We have a decision. So we'll go forth and find you a city manager.
Motion passes 4-1.
Thank you.
Pass it the ballot back.
Thank you, dear. Okay, back to where we started from. Call Miss Tony Hunt from the American Way presentation.
Good evening, everyone. Oh, good evening, everyone, to the dais and the constituency. Oh, no, that's not me.
We can get somebody from the back.
Okay, thank you. Pardon, we're having technical difficulties, everyone.
Are they still having trouble fixing it? If you want to wait a minute, we can go to public comments and do yours right after public comments.
Okay, would that be better?
Because they're still having issues with the computer. We haven't done public forum yet.
The one that we have an email that's
The city clerk.
I'm looking at my email right now and I don't have any kind of.
It's in the agenda item. You click on it online, and it's there. It's in the agenda item under me. See, right there? It's in the attachments. So you can.
Ruben, if you want to fix it, she can get to fixing it, and we'll have our public forum.
Okay.
And then we'll do it after public forum if you get it all arranged. Thank you. Public forum.
That.
Michael Wright, please.
Good evening, Commissioners, Vice Mayor. Mr. Chief, is there any problem here? I need to speak loud. Can't hear you very well, Mike.
Okay, so that's good. So, I sat on city council for 5 years in Orange City. Some of you may remember me from those days. And so I'd like to treat you to a poem that I've written. I'm a award-winning poet these days. So here it goes. I think you'll like it. It's all A City Commissioner's Dilemma is the title. On city commission, I fill a seat. Many citizens want a miracle. For us, this is an impossible feat. They complain that we are political, but we are elected politicians. Many expectations aren't feasible. Some citizens think we are magicians, and some complaints are unbelievable. Some things we do to benefit the future, we try to implement needed change. Some benefits we will not see ever, and some things exceed our financial range. Sometimes I ask myself, is it worth it all? But for my civic duty, I won't quit. I hope that describes you. Now, the second reason I'm here is I submitted a draft resolution for a pool table for the senior center at the center at Deltona. I'd see that is not on the agenda. And if I can get this thing to work for me correctly, I have another poem for you. It's not working. Let me try a different way. Oh, there it goes. Good. A crowd of pool players waiting for the extra table. One table is not enough. We need another. But you won't give it to us, though you are able. Now, this is not a true story and not a fable. There's an easy solution, so what's the matter? There's a crowd of pool players waiting for the extra table. A very good pool table is already available, waiting extends forever. If you won't give it to us, but for you, though you are able. No money to spend. Nothing about it is fatal. An easy decision for you. What could be better? Yet a crowd of pool players still waiting for the extra pool table. The guys who gather are quite multicultural. We love this game and each is treated like a brother, but you won't give it to us, though you're able. Increased camaraderie that you could easily enable. For few things there are like pool to bring guys together. There's a crowd of pool players waiting for the extra table. So why don't you give it to us since you're able? You can make a motion right now and pass that and allow us. I would love to go see the guys. I go on Thursdays. I would love to go back and report to them that a second pool table is on the way. I don't know if you have to wait for that resolution. It appears to me like it's not going to come forward to you. Would you please approve the installation of a second pool table at the senior center, at the center at DeLand? It's been deemed to be feasible, and it's little cost.
Thank you, sir. Doug McDonald, please.
Good evening, Mayor and City Commission. Doug McDonald at 1494 Surrey Run Court. I'm not here to talk about the city manager position. I think what this man has done over here is he's a professional, and he's given you his best estimates. You're free to do what you want, but I've been watching this since 1992, and I will guarantee you, as Charles Barkley says, guaranteed, you will never find somebody for $150,000. This is dreaming. And with our track record of, 18 managers in 26 years, who would take this job? So I do agree with Commissioner Burbank. To get on to what I'm speaking about tonight is simply this. The position of the movie theater, that lot up there. I see a lot of digging, a lot of bulldozers going, but I don't see any action as far as retail restaurants that we were led to believe would come. So I offer you this article in the News Journal of the other day. The city is Palm Coast. This is a city comparable to what we have in size. It is in Flagler County, which is kind of a rural area, unlike Deltona. So here's what the article says. Marlborough, Massachusetts-based BJ's Wholesale Club is building a 100,000 square foot membership club store in Palm Coast. This store will anchor a new shopping center called Cornerstone at Seminole Woods. The shopping center will include a 32-pump members gas-only gas station, as well as 2 separately owned restaurants, Longhorn Steakhouse and Miller's Ale House. I bring this to you. We can do better than what they're doing. We have nothing to compare with them out in that area. According to the agenda tonight, what we do have out there is a Burger King, a Starbucks, a Nutty Bavarian, that's a manufacturing facility, and a Panda Express. So I bring this to your attention. We need help. We've been waiting for years for decent places to eat, and instead, they're all going to Orange City. So, as Mr. Wright mentioned earlier tonight, please take this under consideration as make a motion, do what you can to get something moving out there, and if you have to, offer cash incentives or cash rebates to some big, Panera Bread is another one, another big company that would come in and give us a decent place to eat. God knows we need it. Thank you very much.
Just one moment, please. Carol Hickerson, please.
I'm Carolyn Hickerson. You know, I don't have the knowledge base that Albert and Brandy and Nick Lilly have. I don't have years of being here in the city. I lived here for 20-some years, but not in Deltona. My mother did for 30 years. She's now in an assisted living facility. You know, I moved back when my husband died. And there are things that bring life into focus for you. That standing by a bed, having him go flatline, and the doctor say, bring him back or not, and I had to say no. It made me realize what's important and what's not. There are certain things that are really important, certain things that are not. I'm pretty sure, Danny, you've had those conversations with yourself recently. What's really important and what's not. Nobody's going to write a book about what happens in this room tonight in 100 years. Nobody's going to remember our names. Nobody's going to remember anything that took place in this meeting in 100 years from now. It's important, but we're not going to be remembered for that. What we're going to be remembered for, if we're brave enough to be remembered for it, is a legacy that we want to leave behind. We want to be better. I bet you if I took a poll of everyone in this office, in this auditorium tonight, they 100% have the best interests of the city at their heart. They may not express it, but they have the best in their heart for the city. If I asked you to raise your hands, I know you'd all raise your hands because you have the best in your hearts for this city. That is something we have in common. That is a place we can begin. You should be using the people that have a lot of knowledge in this city as resources and not enemies, because they are resources. I'm not a resource, I'm just a voice. But they have years and years of understanding and being through the grind, and many of you probably too. So if we want to have better, we have to be better. We have to be better up here. We have to be better up here. People voted you in to serve in your seat with honor. we kind of want that, and we kind of deserve that you serve in honor. And we want the same in return. You know, we want to be honorable citizens. We do. We just have to all find what the common ground is. And the common ground is we all want better. That's what we all want. We all want better. And I think that's the place that we have to begin at. You know, the things that bring clarity to life are the unfortunate situations of life that make you realize the things that are important. And Deltona has an opportunity to create a legacy that at this day we all decided to come together and do better.
Richard Bellick, please.
Legacy, legacy, legacy. We're talking legacy, huh? I use the word legacy out of context. Let's talk about the money, McCool. Let's not talk about cheap, late. Mr. Storozak, can we talk about the money now? The big checks that she takes out of here, takes the citizens' money? Huh? Like I said 100 times. She goes to the bank, the residents go to the food bank. Come on, she's taking hundreds of thousands of dollars out of here, and this, whatever you want to call her, wants to sit there and hide behind, maybe somebody used the word legacy wrong? Come on, how cheap can you get? How about this? They got your interest in your mind, but they didn't vote on a full rollback for your taxes, though, did they? They didn't vote on that. They didn't they let her take hundreds of thousands of dollars here every month, and nobody says nothing. They got your interest in mind. Sure they do. Their interest is in their behind, not their mind. I mean, this drives me crazy. You're all saying how they can't pay a city manager, they can't do this, they can't do that, but you let her take hundreds of thousands of dollars. Then I go sit down and I got to hear whatever she is talking. I'm using legacy wrong? Come on, that's a cheap, low tactic, and it's by a cheap, low person. When are you going to stop, Marcia? Huh? You can't take that money to the grave, would you? All right, let's get back to something else, though. Let's get to the city manager again. I mean, everybody knows she's a common thief. I mean, it's so many residents have complained about her. Doctoring checks and her son coming in. Her son even robbed Deltona and nobody did nothing. He went to court. He lost the case. He never told anybody, and Deltona ended up getting fined for that too. They had to pay extra money, not only for losing the case, but the fine on top of it. And all these lawsuits in Deltona, it was on her advice. She's the one said, fire this one, fire that one. No, you could do this, you could do that. And now they got, I don't know how many lawsuits. And she sits there immune like this, look. She's like Joe Biden with long hair. I mean, this is crazy. On and on and on. It don't stop. How much you need? How much you want to take from these people? These are hardworking people. They're struggling. She takes hundreds of thousands of dollars. And then I'm a bad guy for bringing it up. And then you ain't got nobody over here that's employed by the city going to say anything about it. They get their paycheck here. I have to say it. I have to say it, and I'll say it till the day I die, or till this gets voted out. Now, give him a chance. What, are you going to go search for another loser? That's all you ever had here? Guy comes for 9 months, walks away with $400,000, $500,000. You got lawsuits for the other city managers that ain't resolved yet. And the worst part about it, people come up here and say, respect yous. How the hell can anybody respect yous? You've ruined this city. This is a divided city. People hate each other in these cities because of yous. Not because of me. I speak the truth. Remember that.
Marsha, Marsha, Marsha.
I haven't started yet. Thank you. Kid-friendly enough? No idea why or when these meetings needed to be so kid-friendly when there's often serious and contentious matters needing discussed and in an effective government even hashed out in debate. But I will just add this to the list of things I'll never understand about Deltona government. Childish, most likely, and ridiculous, isn't it? I agree, but what you see is a reflection. Because this is what we see and feel when we sit and we watch these meetings. A bunch of clowns. So I thought maybe, just maybe, if you looked out and you started seeing your reflection versus constituents, perhaps then you will better relate, communicate, and resolve our concerns. Honestly, I've tried everything else from polite to rude to well-spoken to ranting to well-dressed to PJs to knowledgeable to opinions to suggestions. None of it made a difference. So if your reflection isn't the answer either, please enlighten us as to what will it take. Because after this past year of meetings, more and more residents are stepping up and speaking up because they have reached their limit of nonsense and coughing up more money to mismanage. Speaking of nonsense and more money, I'm sure my specific reflection today was not lost by all. Since y'all are filing complaints and probing for investigations so much, this right here is a Florida bar complaint form. I expect at least 2 of you to follow through with your claims made from the dais. I've studied all 196 pages of the 22-24 Florida Bar Professionalism Handbook, as well as all 797 pages of the rules and regulations of the Florida Bar. It covers things like questionable billing, which you have admitted more than once, abstaining from rude, disruptive, or disrespectful behavior, as well as being fully prepared when appearing, and so on. I'd like to quote a recent article regarding our attorney dated December 29, 2023 from Barker's View, which it reads, and I quote, "In my jaded view, divided and troubled does not adequately describe the raging dumpster fire that is the lost city of Deltona's governing body. A shambolic shit show that continues to defy any measure of logic, a clusterfuck of epic proportion. That instability resulted in many of those abrupt exits, ending in lawsuits and playouts, all while the commissioners are blundered on without benefit of competent and timely legal advice." Goes on to say, during many city commission meetings, Deltona residents who paid $319,164 between only April and December of last year were stunned as their city attorney gazed absently into space, frequently mumbling, "I don't know," seemingly lost in her own world, absently fiddling with her hair, utterly confused by the events transpiring around her, while the elected officials ran amok from the dais of power. In my view, those who pay the bills deserve their attorney's undivided attention and legal expertise, pursued with a sense of confidence and enthusiasm, because the implications of her disengagement, as history has proven, can result in grim consequences for the community. Now, Commissioner McCool, you said you asked Marcia to examine herself, that it's no secret she's dealing with some issues, and you have asked about catching up on legal work for the city. Mayor, Jody, both of you have mentioned questionable billing concerns, all of which needs addressed immediately in a workshop. She has provided incorrect legal advice multiple times to the commission, such as May 16, 2022, regarding quasi-judicial hearings and the requirements regarding swearing in under the Florida statutes. We aren't the only city either. She has a history of providing incorrect information going back to Cocoa Beach in 2016. It's all documented. To even suggest that the residents of this city should foot an enormous legal bill, much higher than the proposed price, mind tag you, while having to accept an inept attorney who is clearly dealing with issues, is absolutely mind-blowing absurd. Shameful, really, when in the same breath you want to preach about social services and the high needs of our community. Do better. We're watching.
Terry Ellis, please.
Good evening, everyone. So the first thing I wanted to talk about is there was a flyer that was sent, and I believe the city posted it. And for those of you that have not seen it, this is about social services. We have social workers in the library. The value of this program is that you have the opportunity to talk to Volusia County Community Assistants and take advantage of their knowledge instead of going to Daytona Beach. So if anyone wants a flyer in the audience, audience, let me know. I love to put them on the back table, but I have yet to figure out when somebody is allowed to put something back there, so I didn't. But, you know, something like that should be included, you know, on the back table in the city manager's report. Secondly, I wanted to talk about the presentation, the American Way 333, and since we haven't had the presentation, I'm going to make my comments brief. But what I will say is, and the most concerning, is the demographics in the slide are very concerning. I don't know if you saw I put something on social media, but if you want the demographics, I have them here. I can leave them with the city clerk. There's a lot of differences, and since the data sets were not included in the slides, I can't comment on that. The other thing that I'd like to talk about is, Doug, you made a comment about, some comments about development and Palm Coast, and why can't we do that here in Deltona? And the reason that we can't do that in Deltona is because we have yet to have a strategic plan for our economic development. We have a 2040 plan out there that there seems to be some disparages between whether or not we're following it. The mayor has a plan. There's a 2040 plan that was voted on, and I don't see any of it moving forward. So, you know, we really need to spend some time getting the city on track and having strategic plans with measurements, with goals, with timelines. You know, I've talked to several people, you know, some of you folks on the dais, and I've talked about how we can't seem to move things forward, because the way that you move that forward is by having measurements, goals, timelines, evaluations. You know, it's a problem for a city that we just can't get over. We just had a discussion about the city manager's salary, which for me was really, really hard to listen to, because you set a salary by defining the job description and the qualifications for that job, and then based on that, those elements have quantifiable monetary dollar amounts, and that's how you build a salary. You don't just pull it out of the air. You don't just compare it to another company or another city. You create the salary based on the position, and it was really, really hard for me to listen to. You know, we just don't have solid methods for how we go about scoping for this city. You know, sitting down, figuring out what it is that we want to do. How are we going to get there? What is it going to take? And please, you cannot depend on consultants to do that for you. I'm not even going to get into where going down the road of consultants can lead you to. That's everything that I wanted to talk about tonight. Thank you very much.
William Mayberry, please.
Hello again. So I would like everyone to know that since I moved to Deltona, I've had one goal in mind, and that's to bring a cheesecake factory to the city. I need my cheesecake factory, man. In regards to several other comments tonight, I'd like the commission to encourage and educate citizens on bringing their concerns through the proper channels to get them implemented in the city. Like, there are processes that should be followed to roll out favoritism and to bring items into our budgets. And if the channels don't exist, that's something that I think should be brought up to the commission in these types of public comments and commission meetings. Because your job is strategic level. You're making decisions up there, and those decisions are on choices brought to you by the city manager, and those are brought to him by his staff, and that brings into consideration for all the budgets and everything else that goes into running a city and doing it properly, transparently. And I don't think that we have so much a problem with vision, but implementation of vision. And we have had multiple panels and research done in the past to find out the sentiment of people in the city. We had one 4 or 5 years ago where we were all writing what we wanted on pieces of paper in the back, and we had the research firm put all that together. And that history is still here. All these documents are still here, the visions, the plans, and the strategies. Again, we just need to be able to implement that. And again, that falls on to picking city manager and having them fill out the staff, because I know there are several other positions that are open as far as department heads. We've got some people that might retire in the next couple of years, and they need to transition out. So it's really about building up our internal infrastructure to implement some of the visions that we've already stated and that we already know about. And again, like with the pool table, I believe that we should bring those types of concerns up through the proper channels. Again, budgeting, all of that. And then ultimately make the decision on whether that gets into the budget or not. With Marcia, I believe that Marcia needs assistance, but we also need to keep Marcia's knowledge of our current caseload and history. And these aren't incompatible goals. We can, rely on our staff to find firms that will work with Marcia to do knowledge transfers and for her to use as assistants. And there's processes and options for doing that. So I would like to see, you bring that to the city manager and direct them to, explore options if that's something that you're interested in doing and bringing about if there needs to be additional support in our legal department. And lastly, since we are on poetry tonight, I will end with this. We rest under the shade of trees we did not plant, and we are planting seeds for trees that we will never see. But that does not mean that we can't place a daisy or two along the way. And that's all. Thank you.
David Sosa, please.
Dave Sosa. First, I'm going to start off on a really positive note. Sunday, January 7th, we had our second annual senior dance prom, and it was a very successful event. We had well over 200 folks in attendance. They all had a great time. I want to give a big shout out to Gabriel for the DJ services and to El Coqui Bakery for providing all the food. They did an awesome job. Now, I'm going to get into the questions that were answered regarding Marcia from the last meeting. And I had asked whether she met the requirements. And I have a response here saying she meets the requirements, including but not limited to education, experience, location, distance requirements. I would like to do a public records request for the address that was used to determine that eligibility. I don't think a P.O. box in Oviedo justifies a location. Okay. Next was regarding the performance appraisal. Your policies and procedures state that in July of each year, the charter officers should have a performance appraisal. It doesn't say she has to be here a year or Glenn has to be here a year. It says you will do a performance evaluation in July, and you guys have failed to do that. I did a public records request, and there's no records. You guys are trying to justify this saying she wasn't here a year. She's been here longer than I have. So to use that as an excuse is just awful. I can't believe you guys accept that. And that goes for the next question. Now, I know somebody had brought up the pass-through ordinance. I had done a public records request on the pass-through ordinance a while back, and I do have the response here. Now, the pass-through ordinance, for those that don't know, means passing legal fees on to developers for Marcia's time. I'm sure once they start seeing her bills, they're going to question them as well. So it says, according to our previous city manager, Jim Chisholm, this is from an email from him, upon further review from staff, the fee schedule already has consulting fees built into the city's development application fee schedule, paid through an established escrow account. Good. Now it says the city attorney is currently contracted consultant of the city of Deltona. Therefore, staff has determined the city attorney billed fees can be recovered through the application with submittal of application fee to include consulting fees with the Land Development Code 74-6. I'm going to skip through some of this. So it was determined consulting costs can be applied to the applicant. Now, it says the city attorney falls within these consultant activities. My question is, have we billed any developers for her time regarding any of the issues she has? I'd like a second public records request requesting all the billable hours Marcia has billed applicants. Now, it said, it also says, in working with finance department, staff has determined the city already has built-in processes to recover attorney's fees through other means for non-development related fees not generated via day-to-day normal operations, i.e. code compliance fees. Once again, they're going to generate revenue for the attorney via what? Code compliance. Jody, you know all about code compliance. You and I are on the same page on that sometimes. That's it for tonight.
Kathy Bryan, please.
Okay, good evening, Kathy Bryan, Deltona. So I'm looking forward to hearing when our workshop is going to be on land use code. Because I know we've said we're going to have one. We talked about it. Because the longer we wait, the more development happens under the old one. So I'm really looking forward to that. I know there was somebody that was supposed to, a consultant, kind of working on some of that stuff. I don't know where they are. I'd like to hear about that. So I'm looking forward to hearing that date. Number 2, I'm going to ask you guys as politely as I can, but when you're up there or over there, please be attentive to your microphones, because there's nothing like sitting at home and hearing people wheezing and snorting and whispering and belching because somebody's microphone's not off, or not being able to hear you because it's not on. So, thank you. The next thing is the commissioner selection, because I know that's coming up. Some of you guys are going, yeah, we know who she wants. Do you? Not necessarily. What I'm going to tell you guys, we've done this in the past where one of the running officials, one of the ones that's going to be running for the election, gets put up there. Now, in Dana's case, I think it wouldn't have made a difference. I think you would have won no matter what. But what I'm saying is I don't know how many candidates you have so far, but I know there's at least a couple who aren't planning to run. So I don't care who it is out of them, but I'd really like to see you guys select somebody that's not going to be staying up on the dais. I know you guys are probably going, yeah, we know who she wants. No, not necessarily. The next thing is when it comes to the budget, because the budget's coming up, right? I said this last year towards the end when we were still futzing with it. This city needs to look at what we need and not what people want, especially small groups of people. And may I suggest that when it comes to things like scoreboards, do we need scoreboards? Can people not go out there and hold up the score? You're spending money. I know there's a group of people that wants those kind of things, and this is just an example. There's other things like this. We're talking about not having enough money for all this stuff. The other thing is maybe suggest to them, go to some of our local businesses, get them to support, get them to help pay for that kind of stuff. Sponsored by Publix, sponsored by Lowe's, whatever. It's a thought, right? The last thing I'm going to talk, that I wasn't going to talk about, but I am now, is if I came up here and my face was covered in tattoos, or if I came up here and my face was misshapen, are you going to hold the camera way back there on me? I don't care what somebody looks like, but we noticed that when Brandy was up here, you showed her from way back there. There was no reason you couldn't have showed her face. She was trying to make a point. She had a lot of good things to say, but she was trying to make a point. That was discriminatory. You guys have done it before because you don't like the way somebody looks, what they have on their t-shirt. That's not up to you to judge, is it? It's not up to your camera people to judge either. There was nothing about the front of her that said anything nasty. So think about that. Look at yourselves in the mirror. Thank you. Have a good night.
Veronica Sandbells Mason.
Hello. Hello, this is only my second time ever coming to one of these meetings, and I find them very interesting. It gives us a chance to explain certain things that are happening that we hope that you'll listen to and help us sort out. I'm here because of let's see, I've been a resident of Deltona since 1991. I've had my home built in 2005. I had a well dug for irrigation purposes only. I received a letter last month requiring me to have a backflow assembly device installed on my water system to prevent contamination. My well is in the backyard. It is nowhere attached to my property. I had a quote done in order to find out how much it would cost. It's going to cost nearly $1,000 in order to install this device. I was told that because I had a well and that other residents attached their well to their homes, this is why I needed the device. I feel that I shouldn't have to pay for this system because of the decision other residents make because they want to attach the water to the well water to their homes. I consider it unfair and wrong that I should have to incur this extra expense. I've been blessed to have a home that's built next door to the property, so they're side by side. That means this cost would be double for me, and I feel that it's wrong. And then the company that I received the quote from stated that even if you use a garden hose to water your lawn or to wash your car, that this could contaminate the system as well, and that this is just the first wave in Deltona. He has done several of them, and that I just feel that it's wrong. I think that they need to do some more research on it, that if this is the case, that means every resident in Deltona is going to have a backflow system attached to their property, attached to their water system, and that's an expense that we shouldn't have to make. And that's all I have to say on the topic. I just hope someone would look into this, because it's something just something extra that we have to pay for the city of Deltona. You know, I love living here. My children grew up here, and it's a good environment for people, but so much we have to pay extra, and I think that's unfair. So something needs to be done about this particular issue as soon as possible. Thank you.
Mr. Vice Mayor, if I may.
If you could, thank you.
And it's a state mandate also, by the way, that needs to be clarified. It's not a city mandate, it is a state mandate to have this done.
Albert Bryan, please.
You know, I wasn't even going to talk through a public forum here tonight, but I was alerted to the fact that the city is discriminating against citizens talking with a direct bias. And, you know, I don't understand that. If somebody chooses to walk up here in a clown outfit, that camera should be on them, not that one back there. There's a problem there. That opens you all up for a direct lawsuit. It opens you up for a lawsuit. And yet she has yet to open her mouth all night long about any of this. 3 times I've noted that she should have opened her mouth and corrected part of the law. Not a thing. But discrimination like that, so boldly, the way y'all did it tonight, to have the cameras just on her back and everybody else it shows their face. Isn't that interesting? One, that's a First Amendment violation, direct First Amendment violation. Because you're doing something different for one person than all the rest. This city, this is what we have a problem with as citizens. You want to split us and divide us. Why? Does that make y'all happy up there that us on Facebook argue about these points? Most of the time we're arguing about your failures, not ours, yours. It's clear that somebody has told the people in that little camera room back there that you're not supposed to have a camera on certain people because the way we speak, the way we look, the way we talk, that right there is discrimination. No ifs, ands, or buts about it. That just opens this city up one more time for another lawsuit. Is that what this is all about? How many people can you dare to sue you? And how we do business in this city? That's not what it's about, people. You're supposed to be helping us. We voted for you to represent us. We don't want you to represent us when we're back in the 1950s. This is 2024. This is not 1950. I don't care what color my skin is. I don't care whether I got makeup on or not. I don't care if I have a hat on or not. If I'm dressed appropriately and I speak directly to you, that camera up there should be on me. So everybody at home can see me talking to you directly. What do you fear? That's my biggest question with that. Why are you so afraid? I don't understand it. I really don't. I've never feared a man in my life. And yet, you fear somebody this tall that's in a clown outfit? Really? Do y'all have an aversion to clowns? I know some people actually do. They have a true fear of clowns. Is that what this is? I mean, that might explain the stupidity and the discrimination. Don't ever do that again.
Put it back up there, Jody. Let it give her a 4 minutes.
Dory Harrington, please.
Get her back.
Yep, excuse me. I'm sorry, Mr. Manager, I know I'm running the meeting, so it's going to change for a second. Whoever did do that and took the cameras off the person speaking, something should be done if it was done on purpose. That should not take place in our city, ever. You don't have to like the people up there, but everybody else should be given the same respect whether you like them or not. But I hope you get to the bottom of that and find out if it was purposely done.
Rectify it. Get her back. Let her go again.
Dory Howington, Deltona. We've heard tonight some questions about commercial business coming to town, so one of the things I'd like to look at is sewer. I know Panera Bread has expressed an interest to come to town if we could bring sewer to Deltona Boulevard. So I'd like to know kind of where we stand with that and if we can get an answer on that. Is there going to be any movement? Do we have any plans for the future? I know a lot of people are speaking about restaurants, and I'm not seeing a lot of movement outside of fast food, so that's what I have for tonight. Thanks.
Randy White, please.
Ray Coombs.
Happy New Year. Honorable members of Deltona City Council, I address you today with a proposal that embodies the spirit, unity, gratitude, community appreciation. As we approach the upcoming Memorial Day in May, I present a poignant initiative. A Memorial Day motorcycle ride dedicated to honoring our veterans and police, firefighters, paramedics, EMT, also known as first responders. This event is more than just a ride. It is a heartfelt tribute to those who have selflessly served our nation and continue to protect our community. I come before you seeking sponsorship for this Memorial Day motorcycle ride, an opportunity for the City Council to actively participate in honoring the heroes who have safeguarded our freedoms. By supporting and sponsoring this event, the City Council can play a vital role in bringing our community together to express gratitude for the sacrifices made by our veterans and first responders. Your sponsorship will not only contribute to the success of the ride, but will also enable us to allocate resources towards initiatives that support and uplift these heroes within our community. I invite each council member to consider the impact of this initiative on our city's sense of unity and appreciation for those who have dedicated their lives to our safety. Let us join hands in making this Memorial Day motorcycle ride a powerful and meaningful tribute to our veterans and first responders. As stewards of our community, your sponsorship will not only enhance the event, but will also underscore our collective commitment to recognizing and honoring those who have made the extraordinary contributions to our nation. May this Memorial Day serve as a lasting reminder of gratitude we hold for our heroes. Thank you for your time, consideration. Together, let's make this Memorial Day ride an emblem of Deltona's appreciation for our veterans and first responders.
Sir, if you could you leave your contact information with the city manager so a couple of us might be interested to reach out with you?
Will do.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor, that closes public comments.
Thank you. Go ahead. I can hear you.
I just want to request that you all allow Randy White to come back up to the podium.
I'm good, thank you.
She said she's good. I apologize from up here on the dais because we can't see the cameras. When that take place, I apologize. We didn't know about it until it was brought up, and that should not happen to any resident in the city, period. Okay, moving on. Ordinances and public hearings. Public hearings? Oh, yeah, I forgot. We got to go back to that one. The presentation, is the computer fixed now? The presentation by Ms. Tori Hunt.
Good evening again, everyone, the dais and constituency. My name is Tony Hunt, and I am with the American Way. We are an economic delegate company, and I am here in the capacity to look at the economic delegation and managerial partnership with the city from the framework of outsourcing your economic development needs within your city. And just to give a background on the premise of the scope that was submitted as well as the presentation, we opted to use per capita data versus median data. And the difference between the two is media data is what is proposed and what the capacity is. So that is used more for reporting. So people are used to hearing median information in data points, whereas per capita is what's actually happening. And so when you are doing development, which that was the scope of this presentation and the one-pager being developed, we opted to use per capita, which is very different from median point. With that being said, our company is a multidisciplinary company, and we like to use all the facets of economic development as it relates to economists, analysts, and strategists in utilizing the 2040 plan that you already have, as well as constituency data. Having the strategic and the analytical piece is how you brand the implications so that you can see the impact and the how-to to see those plans come to fruition. Our Our mission is to eliminate mental health, economic and social barriers for the prosperity of the community, and our vision is to establish a multidisciplinary approach to empower economic enterprise on all levels. So the collaboration and connectivity is key to unlock economic diversity and ignite prosperity. So our first goal is to evolve municipal equity by including diversified collaboration to unite the economic access. The second goal is to enhance municipality growth that guides the requirements of today's economic and human development. And goal 3 is to expedite municipal pathways for the master plan achievement to secure branding and revenue endeavors. So our offered partnerships specifically to what the needs are in the city of Deltona would be an educational partnership, an employment partnership, an entrepreneurial partnership, entertainment partnership, and a housing partnership. And those were the areas that the data point showed some support in getting you to impart the 2040 plan that you already had on the books, as well as updating it with some innovation for sustainability. So the American Way and the City of Deltona partnership would thrive on the live, work, play, and learn. As you can see there, we have included the pictures to kind of give a synopsis of your 2040 plan and how we would implicate that and impart that into the strategic plan of your economic development. And so tonight even we heard a lot about entertainment. We want restaurants. We want things to go and do. Your data points show that majority of your residents are driving 33 miles to get to work and entertainment. And so incorporating your 2040 plan with our strategic and analytic measures with our economists, we can see this live, work, play, and learn take place. So the partnership dynamics, we will eliminate the barriers of economic growth output. We would increase the GDP by 19.4% and establish Deltona from being a bedroom community to a bustling community. Our economic development would distinguish district hubs, establish village shopping and entertainment sections, brand tourism, identify commercial infrastructure and land acquisition needs to solidify the CIP, which is a part of your 2040 plan. We would raise awareness and visibility for the city of Deltona through vital business recruitment and retention endeavors. That's something that usually the Economic Development Department does, and in this vein, it would be outsourced to the American Way. We would also establish the city's outreach initiatives and branding as a CFC connector. We would expand entertainment and recreation options by determining the feasibility of expansion. We would optimize current municipal tourism factors to align with innovation planning trends. We would navigate the city's vision pathways and advise the municipal live, work, play, and learn aspects, drive strategic MPCD to secure a competitive edge, and conduct growth management workshops. And that is really the strategic how of seeing the economic development aspects of your 2040 plan be realized. The housing mitigation would develop a housing strategy by providing diversified choices based on data projected needs to promote housing diversity plan that is feasible and sustainable. In that vein, we would be focusing on offsetting the inflation with rent by implicating subsidy to help more people become homeowners, which would help them propel from poverty to prosperity. And it would offset the inflation of rent going up with a fixed rate mortgage. We would also look at the succession solidarity aspects by implementing a delivery system to achieve citywide sustainability sequence that would secure the 2040 plan and beyond. So the milestone timeline would look like this. From 2024 to 2027, that would really be municipal development and connectivity alignment. From 2027 to 2030, it would be an all municipal framework pathways would be secured. So what's really interesting about those two timeframes is that it would give us the time to get the foundational work that is needed to uplift all of the commercial aspects, to uplift your learning communities and your employment sectors, as well as the housing and infrastructure for all of those needs, so that by 2027, you would be able to start see some measurements on the investment and some return. In 2030 to 2035, the municipal strategic planning and engagement will be implemented, and by 2035 to 2040, the municipal measurement for your return on investment analytics with succession stabilization. So the timeline here would really give you a sequential measure to guide the economic development that we're looking to implement. So the projected master plan market, we want to look at serviceability that is obtainable. And so we see that with the data points at 3 million annual increase, and then the serviceability available market is at 6 million annual increase, which would give us a total available market of 9 million annual increase, which is connected to the 19.4% increase with GDP. And that's what you're looking at as it relates to economic development. That is your growth output number. And what's really interesting about it is that it gives you a guide of measurement, right? This would be an investment on the city, and it would give you a guide to be able to say if this partnership is falling in line with the sequential aspects and expectations of the city to move it forward. And that is the end of the presentation. Any questions?
I have a few, but I'll wait. Anybody else? Commissioner McCool?
Tony, I want to go back to the second attachment that you have here, because that was my concern going in here were the demographics here. So where do these numbers come from on the demographics?
They come from the Census Bureau, the benefits.gov, the FLDOE, the FloridaHealthCharts.gov, FloridaHealth.gov, myflorida.com, welfareinfo.org, and Volusia.org.
Okay, so I'm looking at here our residents, and I have a problem in this respect that, are you saying that, tell me who the who is, 90% have and are currently on government subsidy. Who is that?
So 90% of your constituency, based on the data points here, at some point within the past 10 years has been on subsidy of some kind at some point, which the majority of that happening during COVID and post-COVID.
So, okay, so that's not to me, that's not a real long-term number, because I don't believe that 90% of our residents are on subsidy. 11%, are we stating 11% of our constituency is out of work?
Yes, ma'am, I believe it was like right at 10.8 and we rounded it up.
11% in Deltona are out of work?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, 90% only have a high school diploma? 90% of our residents only have a high school diploma?
Yes, ma'am. That is
according
based
to
on
who?
The census that was done in 2022.
Okay. what I'm saying here is this just paints a worse picture of Deltona than I believe to be. Can I tell, because I'm going to tell you something, which I'll dispute right now, and I'll go to the mat with anybody on this. 37% are homeless, meaning they live on the street with others or in their car. I did point in time count, with the exception of last year, for the last 5 years with homeless. And I understand that people are close to homelessness, but what I want here in making a decision are real numbers. You know what I mean? To me, these are not real numbers. It's not indicative of the picture. So I just want to see that gone back and looked at, because I just don't believe the numbers. That's why I'm asking where are they from. So I would like a typewritten, or either, I just want to see those numbers. I didn't write them down, but I want to understand where they came from. Okay, that's my request. I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. The data points that I used when I started, so median points is what most people are used to looking at, because that gives you the capacity of your city, right? So you may have, within the city of Deltona, you may have, let's say, $100,000 worth of jobs available. However, the per capita is only going to count how many actual people are working versus the capacity that's there with median. And this was in by no way to put Deltona in a bad light at all. It's a wonderful city. This was put together to show where the American way could help. And so based on per capita, for example, the median says that you're making some $60,000 a year in Deltona on average, but your per capita is $28,000. So it's different data points. It's just different data points.
Now, how much would this cost the city?
It's already in your budget, so this would be...
No, how much are you guys charging the city?
No, so we would do an outsourcing, so you already have in your budget for the economic development, and so we would be working within the budget.
45,000?
I'm sorry?
That's what it is, 45,000? I mean, Commissioner McCool brought up a couple good points on the numbers and stuff like that. I mean, you're going to raise our GDP to up 19%. What is our gross domestic product that we make in Deltona besides people that work somewhere else? I mean, you're going to rate your thing said you're going to raise our GDP 19%. What do we make in Deltona?
So to answer your question, I'll take, because you asked too. So how we're going to raise your GDP here is by focusing more on your entertainment districts and actually bringing things here to the city that your constituency leave the city to go and purchase. So we would be bringing those things here, so it wouldn't just be a bedroom community. They would actually be able to do entertainment and food and recreation here instead of driving all the way to Orlando or to Seminole County for those things. So that's how we would raise that.
Right. Now that adds to my. You just helped me with my next one. You're going to bring these people to the city. Do you all own a bunch of land you can build these restaurants on?
Well, we would do this in correlation to the 2040 plan that you have already proposed.
But you want, I understand we all want restaurants in the city. We've been hearing it for years. But you have to make it feasible for restaurants to come here. Our lunchtime crowd is a small few. It's, city workers, sheriff's department, fire department, school teachers, and a lot of people that work at different shifts. But most big restaurants can't be sustained in town because there's a lot of people that work somewhere else. It just makes me wonder where we would all benefit from this. I mean, right now we have the Team Volusia that does a lot of stuff now. Would this propose that we wouldn't need Team Volusia and then use this instead?
So I can't speak on behalf of Team Volusia, but what we would be doing is the city, if you so choose, would outsource your economic development endeavors to the American way. So this isn't in contrast to Team Volusia. It's us solving one of the issues of employability. So it would be outsourcing the employability for your economic development department.
So you guys just finding other people to help us?
No, sir. So outsourcing means that instead of you hiring an employee that directly works with the city as your economic development director and assistant economic development director, you would then just outsource that to a company. And so by doing it that way, you would save on the whole total benefit package that you would need. There would be a contract there in place, so you would mitigate the high turnover and all of that. So outsourcing is really a wave of the future, and a lot of cities are moving towards that to secure employability, to make sure that plans are moving forward.
Hey, Commissioner Burbank?
No. Thank you, Vice Mayor. What you described as our mayor's dream of a downtown, which we can't do. It's just physically impossible. Were it me, I would go ahead and spend that $45,000, no offense, ma'am, wonderful presentation. Put that $45,000 on a city manager's salary to get us a decent city manager, to bring us the credibility that would bring people in to say, okay, we wouldn't mind doing business here. Yeah. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Yes, sir. The plan that we used, to my understanding, it was adopted in 2021. So this is your 2040 plan. We would just be helping to strategically put this together, and we would be doing it through your economic development department that you already have.
Thank you.
We don't have
any other questions? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Oh. Moving on, next one's the ordinances and public hearings. Public hearing ordinance number 04-2024, affordable housing and land development.
Good evening, City Commission and Vice Mayor. Jessica Entwistle, Planner 2 with Planning Development Services. Ordinance number 04-2024 is to add Chapter 76 Affordable Housing to the Land Development Code. The Live Local Act was signed into state law with an effective date of July 1st, 2023. By adding Chapter 76 Affordable Housing to the Land Development Code, the city will be able to regulate affordable housing by adding regulations and procedures. The purpose of this chapter is to facilitate development of affordable multifamily housing, provide the zoning districts allowed for the Live Local Act, establish guidelines, and provide the administrative approval process. The city has less than 8% of the land designated as commercial, industrial, or business plan unit developments. Therefore, any Live Local project that comes to the city with these designations must be mixed use, meaning the minimum of 20% of the project has to be commercial. The Live Local Act specifies that in order to utilize any commercial or industrial land, the project must be mixed use with a minimum of 20% commercial and a minimum of 65% residential. This is something that cannot be waived or changed. The Affordable Housing Project Review Committee, AHPRC, will be an appointed subcommittee that reviews affordable housing projects that are submitted under Chapter 76. The Live Local eligibility has many requirements. This slide just shows a few. These are the same ones I showed you last meeting. These are the dimensional requirements for the Live Local Act. There's a max density of 20 units per acre with a minimum of 20% open space. This is the caveat regarding parking, stating that if an applicant can request for a 5% decrease from our land development code requirements if they are within a 1 mile radius of a bus stop. There has to be enhanced pathways to the bus stop. The enhancement means it has to be paved and shade trees throughout the walkway. All applications will follow the land development code for all the regulations not covered under Chapter 76. And staff does recommend the City Commission approve ordinance number 04-2024 by adopting Chapter 76 Affordable Housing into the Land Development Code in order to provide for the Live Local Act. And I can take any questions.
Commissioner McCool?
Hey, Jessica, thank you very much for that. And let me ask you something. Have you had any direction or any input yet for this? I know in the spirit which is written, I know the amount of research that's gone into writing this, but do you guys have any, like with the HB 665 and the SB 684, have you gotten any feedback on that as far as the expediting of permits for development on this? Does this protect us from those bills also?
So the AHAC changes every year with the AHAC report.
Right.
They have, we're permitting, speeds up the whole permitting process for anything that's affordable housing.
Okay.
Any other? Public comments?
William Mayberry, please.
Hello again. I would absolutely love to vote for this ordinance. I think it gives the city a tool to make sure that balances out the interests of the citizens who need affordable housing and those who are looking to invest new capital into the properties that they own here. It also balances out the need for standards and safety and quality of life. We don't want to create slums. We want to uphold our standards to protect the kids, to protect our citizens, to protect everyone, right? And we don't want the state coming in and just letting people build slums. I don't think anybody has been happy with having our city powers taken away. And so I think this is a great move in the right direction to comply with those laws while also maintaining our quality standards. So vote yes for it, please. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Mr. Vice Mayor,
Yep,
I need to read the ordinance title before you
I'm waiting
vote.
to see if they have more questions first. Any more questions about it? Oh.
Thank you. No more questions. I will make a motion. I hereby move to adopt orders number 04-2024, creating Chapter 76, Affordable Housing of the City of Deltona Land Development Code.
Second.
Can I read the ordinance?
Read ordinance,
Thank you.
please.
Ordinance number 04-2024, an ordinance of the City of Deltona, Florida, creating Chapter 76, Affordable Housing of the Land Development Code, relating to affordable housing regulations and the Live Local Act, and providing for an effective date.
We have a vote. Motion passes 5-0. Public hearing, ordinance number 03-2024, amending the official zoning map to rezone approximately 1.37 acres.
Hello again, Jessica and Tulsa Planner 2 for the record. At this time, I'm going to pass it over to City Attorney to swear in anyone because it's a judicial hearing.
This is a quasi-judicial hearing. Will anyone who wishes to give testimony in this matter please stand and raise your right hand? Okay. Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. And then, Jessica, if you'll direct the Vice Mayor to ask if they have any ex parte communication.
Yes. Has there been any ex parte communication?
Commissioner Cowell? Commissioner McCool? Commissioner Reveal Vasquez?
None.
Commissioner Burke?
None.
And myself, none.
Perfect. All right, application for 3150 Howland Boulevard, ordinance number 03-2024. This is a request to rezone 1.37 acres from professional business to retail commercial. The applicant is now requesting to rezone it for a Take 5 oil change and a 5,000 square foot retail building. The applicant has provided Exhibit B for prohibited uses for this parcel, meaning anything that is on this list cannot be built there. The rezone for 3150 Howland Boulevard came before the City Commission on August 28th, 2023, and was sent back to the Planning and Zoning Board. This is the aerial and current zoning of the property, showing it is wooded and vacant. The current zoning is professional business, which is used to provide a transitional area between commercial uses and residential. The current zoning allows for single-family homes and office development. The proposed retail commercial zoning allows for neighborhood-oriented commercial development, permitted uses including retail, restaurants, offices, and much more. The intended use of a Take 5 oil change will require the application to come back before you as a conditional use. This is the map showing the current, proposed, and future land use. As you can see, the proposed zoning aligns with the future land use. This is the new layout showing the Take 5 oil change and retail building. I did cut the picture a bit so you can see all the details closer. There is a 50-foot power easement at the rear behind the pond area. These are the matters of consideration which Planning and Development Services use to ensure all elements of a rezone follow the comprehensive plan. It's important to note that rezone aligns with the future land use map, as well as the commercial uses will be beneficial for the residents of Deltona and also add to the tax base. During the conditional use and final site plan applications, a traffic impact analysis will be required. And staff recommends the City Commission approve ordinance number 03-2024, amending the official zoning map to rezone 1.37 acre parcel located at 3150 Howland Boulevard from professional business to retail commercial. Are there any questions?
Commissioner Burbank?
Thank you, Vice Mayor. These lists of uses that the developer, the owner, is willing to limit, exclude from the property location, are these currently listed as permitted use in that zoning district?
Most of them are.
So this would be voluntary then, right?
Yes, sir.
Who would enforce that and by what mechanism?
We would enforce it during the site plan process.
No, I mean, who would enforce it 5 years from now? I mean, if another owner comes in, oh, by the way, I want to open a check cashing place here. What's to stop me? What enforcement mechanism would there be in place?
Well, they would have to come in for a pre-application normally if they're changing the use.
You're missing the point entirely. There is no development agreement or contractual agreement in place that says 5, 10, 15 years in the future, I can't do this. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Okay, thank you. Sorry, it's been a rough day. You're doing a great job. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Public comments?
Yes, the applicant's here if you would like to hear from him.
Thank you. I'm Bill Barfield. I represent the owner. My address is 225 South Westmont Drive, Altamont, Suite 2040, Altamont Springs, Florida. A couple of things I'd like to point out. There was one error. I'm sure it was just an oversight. There was an indication that there was a 50-foot power line. That easement is actually 70 feet, and there's another 15-foot landscape buffer as well. So there's actually going to be 85 feet between the developable area and Arbor Ridge to the rear. The second thing, Commissioner Burbank, is those limited uses or those restricted uses are actually going to be attached to your ordinance. So the city would be able to have a record of that and refer back to it whenever any zoning issues came up.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. This was originally, as indicated previously, this was on the commission agenda, I want to say October. And at that particular time, there was a different use that we were contemplating. The commission indicated that they would prefer to see a different use. We went out and retooled, agreed to these restrictions to give the commission the ability to have some certainty on what's not going to be there that would otherwise be permitted within that commercial zoning. By allowing us to zone now, if you don't grant us the conditional use, or for some reason this use falls through, it's under contract, it falls through, it enables us to go out and obtain other uses that would be beneficial for that particular area, consistent with the commercial zoning.
Thank you.
Any public comments? Nobody else got?
William, well, there's no one withstanding who put in. William Mayberry without standing.
Asking.
Okay, so I was actually driving out there today to go check it out because my concern was with the oil change being placed out there. Fear of the hydraulic presses, or I'm sorry, the hydraulic tools and the air compression tools that they would use that might make a bunch of those squealing noises, kinds that you hear from when they're doing any kind of serious, work on cars. But there was enough of a buffer, the 75 feet of the electrical, and then the additional pond for the water that was from the back planned area to the house behind it. That was my biggest concern, was just noise pollution, because that hardly ever comes up in any of the planning. I didn't see that as a problem in this one. The site plan is really nice, considering we don't want the strip malls. We don't want just these big facing storefronts. I think that the city has done a really good job with it. I know that we don't want to build a lot more, and we want to be careful of sinkholes. We want to be careful of how we manage our land and what we build on it. And I think we can't stop development, but this is an example of good planning, of working with the developers, of the city staff working to create a good plan that we can use, and addressing all of our needs. Again, they came back from it several months ago when we had given them those suggestions. I know that I'll probably get reamed for this one, but I would go ahead and vote for something like this. It is a good use, and if we could do better, I'd like to know that. I'd like to hear that from the residents, but just what we have right now looks really good, and I think a lot of time has been put into that. So, that's my 2 cents. Thank you very much.
May I make a comment, please?
Please.
I'd just like to point out, if you go to a commercial oil change, they really don't use pneumatic tools. It's all limited to removing a drainage plug or removing an oil filter, and usually that is with a manual wrench or hand tight. So it's not a situation where they're going to be changing tires and doing things of that nature where you'd get a lot of noise. So.
Thank you. No other questions? We entertain a motion.
I do have one more question.
Commissioner Burbank.
Thank you. Thank you. One more question for the applicant, if you don't mind. Thank you. Appreciate your patience. I will go back to this prohibited uses list again. This has never been done before, where we've actually attached prohibited use to a zoning classification without a PUD in place.
Yes, sir.
So the devil would be in the details here. One of your prohibited uses, can you hear me okay? One of your prohibited uses is discount retailers branded as dollar stores. Who would be doing that branding? That's very subjective.
Well,
as we've all learned in recent days, I'm just throwing that out there. Something to consider.
Yeah, I think the gist of it is to prohibit discount stores. And if that's a better terminology that, I mean, we can certainly change that to read disco.
Semantics, right?
Exactly.
Thank you very much for that.
Commissioner Vasquez?
Thank you, Vice Mayor. So I have a question. I don't know if it's for the city manager or the attorney. We just recently, as Commissioner Burbank stated, went through this box store issue going back and forth. I think we were set to have a meeting about that to either limit the number of box stores in the city of Deltona or the distance between each one of them. Would this fall into that?
No, because they're voluntarily agreeing. The way I understood it, we were looking at regulations that would put some kind of limit on how many of these types of stores you could have, or the alternative is if you place distance between, whatever use. Some have had, like with tattoo and piercings, they, in a downtown area, too many of those, they'll put in a certain distance, so to, keep variety and prevent, the kinds of stores from getting too close or proliferating. So I don't know if I think we talked about going to a workshop. I think, but this would not fall into that category because they're voluntarily putting a limitation on their own use of the property.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Anybody else?
Vice Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
Go ahead, Commissioner Burbank.
I would move that the city amending the official zoning map to rezone on approximately 1.37 acres located at 3151 315 Howland Boulevard for professional business zoning, PB, to the City of Deltona Retail Commercial District, C1, with the exclusion. I see this as unenforceable and quite possibly unconstitutional.
Is there a second? Motion fails for a second. Anybody else want to make a motion?
Motion died.
Motion died.
Mr. Vice Mayor, I'll make the motion.
Good.
I make the motion, I hereby move to approve ordinance number 03-2024, amending the official zoning map to rezone a 1.37 acre parcel located at 3150 Howland Boulevard from professional business to retail commercial at first hearing.
Have a second? I'll second. Yeah, I can. I can second.
Oh, you can say it?
I can't make a motion, but I can second. Can we have a vote, please?
Did you get thrown off?
And read the ordinance, please.
Ordinance number 03-2024, an ordinance of the City of Deltona, Florida, amending the official zoning map to rezone a 1.37 acre parcel of land located at 3150 Howland Boulevard from Professional Business Zoning District, PB, to City of Deltona Retail Commercial District, C1, providing for conflicts, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date.
I don't have anything coming up.
Yes, it's coming up.
Verbally?
His has been doing that all night.
So thank you. I got it. Well, Mike. Oh. It disappeared. Oh. Motion fails 3-2.
Bye-bye.
Vice Mayor, I'd like to make a motion.
Next one, public hearing ordinance number 02-2024, amend Deltona Village Business Plan Unit Development.
Good evening again. I'm going to pass the meeting over to Marcia to swear everyone in.
This is a quasi-judicial hearing. Anyone who wishes to give testimony in this matter, would they please stand and raise their right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Thank you. And then if you, well, the vice mayor just left. Unlikely. Well, the vice mayor, or we don't have a substitute to the vice mayor, needs to ask each of you whether you have any ex parte communications. Here he comes. Okay. If you would ask your board if anyone has any ex parte communications.
Commissioner Caldwell? Commissioner McCool?
I do. I have ex parte communication with the county attorney, the county manager, with 2 county engineers. I have ex parte communication with the former planning director. That's all I can think of right now. Thank you.
Commissioner Avila Vasquez?
I have none.
Commissioner Burbank?
No, sir.
I've had many conversations with our planning, Jessica, with the attorneys and the applicant. I've had several conversations about different things over the last year, but that's about it.
Can I amend that? If you put it that way, I've been working with this project since 2007, off and on.
Thank you.
Please speak into the microphone. Can't hear a word he's saying. It's like, it's not even on, sir. It's not on, sir.
My mistake is technology. I was explaining that as far as ex parte communications go, I have had, as both staff and as a friend and as an associate with the city, innumerable conversations with this applicant and this project dating back as far as 2007. Good?
We're good.
All right, the Deltona Village BPUD is a major amendment. Ordinance number 02-2024 amends the current BPUD to include 25.96 acres that was tabled on July 17th, 2023. The Deltona Village BPUD is currently 140.61 acres and allows for commercial and light industrial uses. Here I've provided a timeline for you to see the events that have been happening to bring this item back to you. The commission denied this project in April. The applicant requested a rehearing on May 1st, 2023 at the city commission meeting. On May 22nd, 2023, the applicant requested the item to be continued to the next meeting. On June 19th, 2023, per the applicant's request, the 25.96 acres was tabled, but ordinance number 04-2023 was approved on July 17th, 2023. On October 18th, the applicant requested the 25.96 acres to be taken off the table. On December 13th, 2023, the Planning and Zoning Board recommended approval to a 6-1 vote. The 25.96 acres the applicant is requesting to add to the Deltona Village is shown here in yellow. It surrounds the concrete plan of Graves Avenue. This is the zoning map and aerial of this area. The area is completely undeveloped, minus the concrete plant. The previous amendments are provided on this slide. In July 2018, the first amendment was approved to modify the lot sizes and change the multifamily use to not require conditional use. The Second Amendment in 2021 added 8 parcels to the BPD, and the Third Amendment last year updated the master development plan, increased the cap for multifamily, and added 0.61 acres of land. On January 9th, 2024, the city met with the county regarding the traffic study completed in 2009 and the letter from Volusia County regarding their traffic concerns. The county stated they had a meeting with the applicant on January 5th, 2024, explaining their position has not changed. And since Deltona Village was not built out in 2013, they would need a new traffic study done in this area. The city agreed that the proportionate fair share shall be updated in order for this development to proceed with consideration. It's also important to note many sections of roadways along Howland Boulevard have a level service of E classification. The level of service is an indicator of the extent or degree of service provided by or proposed to be provided by a facility based on the operational characteristics of the facility. This means the flow of traffic in this area is unstable. There is considerable traffic and the flow is irregular. These are the matters of consideration we look at when rezoning a project. Planning looks at the comprehensive plan, impacts on the environment and economy, as well as the effects on the residents. While this rezone is consistent with the comprehensive plan, by adding the 25.96 acres to the Deltona Village BPD will make it more unified. In adding the acreage, the city will be economically benefited by facilitating a larger, more unified development product. But it's important to note an updated TIA and proportionate fair share is required by the city of Deltona and Volusia County, as the area of Howland is currently at a level service of E and the TIA is outdated. At this time, staff cannot recommend approval of ordinance number 02-2024 due to needing more time to review the history of the Deltona Village BPUD, development agreements, and working with the applicant regarding their proportionate fair share and traffic impact analysis based on the information received from Volusia County. Are there any questions?
Maritza. Commissioner.
Commissioner McCool?
Thank you. Jessica, I would like for you to go back to 2 slides back. I have questions. So I want to ask you regarding the meeting that you, myself, Ms. Wallace, Mr. Whitcomb, and the city attorney that we had with the county, because concerns were brought up by me at the beginning of this regarding the outdated traffic impact analysis that was done back in 2008 or 2010. And at this time, we went back and forth and ended up taking the 25.96 acres out. And I would like it reiterated that in our meeting, was it your understanding from the county that they could not believe that the traffic impact analysis, first of all, was that old and was able to get put through, and the county found these conditions unfavorable as well? And the county did say that they would not approve this either based on the outdated traffic impact analysis. Is that pretty much a summation of what we were there to hear?
So the county stated that the 2009 traffic impact analysis that was provided should have been built out by 2013, so they were not willing to take it because of that.
And 2 weeks prior to this meeting, Jessica, were you not told by the applicant's attorney that the county was going to rescind this letter?
I believe it was stated at the planning and zoning meeting.
I'm sorry?
I believe it was stated at the planning and zoning meeting.
So is it your understanding also that when we went to meet with the county, that the county had just only spoken to the applicant and the applicant's attorney a couple of days before?
Yes, ma'am.
So basically, the applicant's attorney lied to public officials regarding the letter being rescinded from the county. That is my understanding of this. So with that being said, I am also going to request, because there's more than one witness to this lie being told to our staff and to anybody that would listen, that the county was going to rescind their position on this, and we were lied to by an attorney to our staff. I have for also here verbatim of the planning and zoning meeting. I asked for this to be done here. And at this meeting, the same meeting, it was intimated that that letter was only given to us because I bullied someone at the county to get this letter, which I would like to set straight. The county, I don't think anybody can bully engineers to take the position that they took. I also, it is my contention here that we have a couple of other letters regarding this, and the county is taking this seriously and is on the side of the city of Deltona regarding this. That this should have been built out in 2013, and there's no way that a traffic impact analysis for a failing road is any good this many years later. There's also, Jessica, I would like you to confirm and at a later time, but it's my understanding that part of the contention was that this was not filed back in the proper date, back in 2010, and recorded, but the reason that it wasn't is because the city didn't approve it. That's why it never got recorded, because there were outstanding issues even at that time. There was also, I would like to confirm in records, that this has been a long and torturous past, in the words of one of the reports that is read here on the staff reports. So, Jessica, could you reiterate what the county has said to us regarding this?
The county has sent us an Excel sheet showing that Howland Boulevard is failing at all of our intersections. They reiterated that the proportionate fair share will help fix the issues we have on Graves and Howland, and that's why they're asking for the proportionate fair share as well.
And we, knowing that we are legally obligated, also, did we not have a conversation regarding TPO and the standing that, as a member sitting on the TPO board, that if the city of Deltona needs to take the position that they need to collect this money, which is upwards of $8 million, $8 to $10 million, and we don't know until all the numbers are in, $8 to $10 million, that if we can't be stewards of our own money, that the TPO would be hesitant probably to give us any additional funding for those roads because of us not collecting on what we have. Now, this was stated in a meeting with multiple witnesses from the county, so we can go back and ask anybody sitting in that meeting also regarding that. So what is being said here is that we need to collect our money. We would like our money, please. Could you please, Jessica, tell me also the exact amount of the proportionate fair share or impact fees that have been paid, or can you differentiate what was done in construction as well as what was passed off to Amazon to pay in that area as well, as it is related to this particular development?
The applicant has an agreement with the county in 2010 for $1.9 million to do upgrades on Howland and Graves. From what I understand, all of those upgrades have been made from that 2009-2010 agreement.
Okay. And have all of those upgrades been done?
Can you repeat that one more time? I'm sorry.
Have all of those upgrades been done?
On Howland and Graves for the $1.9 million, yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I would also like to go back to state that and ask the question that some of these were, could you go back to when the Amazon was going in and how it's interrelated with this particular development, and the fact that there were projects that were traded, like road improvements and stuff that were traded with Amazon. Could you speak to that, please?
I didn't work closely with that project. I do apologize. Mm-hmm. I know that a turn lane was put in and a red light was put in by Amazon, and that's all I'm really sure of. I could do more research for you, though.
Okay, so the reason that I ask you is because according to the letters that I have, because for transparency's sake, there are 4 filing cabinets up there with 10 to 15 years worth of this project, which I went through every single document over a period of a few months looking at this. And at this time, there were, is it true and is it your understanding, at the time that this was going in, there were some deals made, and the fact that the city of Deltona was put in a precarious position that if we did not agree to some of the verbiage in the development agreement or in the ordinance, which stated that this developer would be able to go through the end of time without having the traffic impact analysis studied, is that your understanding that that verbiage is in the ordinances?
There is a signed agreement from a past city manager that says that the 2009 traffic impact analysis would be cap until they reach their caps.
Correct. And it's my understanding after reading the files and all of these that this was done because the Amazon project was in jeopardy, and that if we didn't grant this developer what they wanted or the verbiage in this, according to these emails in here, that they were not going to allow Amazon to have access to these roads if this verbiage wasn't done. And it was within a couple of days that this letter was sent out by the city manager agreeing to this. Is that your understanding of the document, some of the documents that we have read together? Have you read any document or any letter from Jane Shang, the past city manager, regarding Amazon?
Yes.
Yes. What was your understanding of the content of that letter?
That we needed to keep the 2009 TIA until they reach their caps.
Yeah. So, with that, I'm going to let everybody else have their way, but the understanding is what I'm trying to get to here is that over the history of this whole project going in, first of all, there's been statements as to the developer is a victim here, and that's simply not true based on what I've read. This should have been done back in 2013, and it wasn't, and that's what the county has said also. Number 2, there's been a lot of bullying going on throughout this here. I've read emails, I've read commentary where different planning and zoning directors should be fired for going against this developer. And I have read letters going back and forth telling the city what they will do and will not do. Any of these that you don't even have to get a public record. Anybody sitting out here, I'd be more than happy to share any of these documents with you. And there was also mention made, what I want to clarify also in the verbatim meeting here that went back and forth with planning zoning, this is not a stall tactic for this developer. This is absolutely trying to recapture money that's actually due to us, but due to staff changes, due to other circumstances, these weren't done. But according to the county, we can go back now without legal ramifications or being threatened that we're going to get sued and capture the money that the city is due to us. And when I make the motion for this, also the commission has been given reasons pulled right out of our comprehensive plan according to our agreements with the county, why I'm making the motion. So I'm also would like to call into our staff being lied to regarding this letter here because, that's next level there. So that's all I have at this juncture.
What else? I have a question for you, Jessica. When people do all these plans and they come up with a plan to do something, they get okay from the commission, and it's 10 years. There's nothing after so much time. It has to come back. It just we should put something in place that if a developer we vote on something and they get permission to do something, or we vote on it and it gets approved, it should be a timeline and not 15 years later.
So your master development plan's recorded with your DA, but your traffic studies,
right,
they do outdate for other projects. We've made them redo them if they've been out there for 2 or 3 years.
Right, but once they have approval, I mean, this is a big fight on this. This is where the problem comes in, because it was approved so long ago, and now they're moving forward, which, I mean, everybody has the right to do things, but we should have put a cap on things going forward. Sometimes something where people get approval, they have so long to start doing a project. before they have to come back and start all over. To have it sit out there for 15 years and wait for something is kind of crazy.
We do that for development orders, for site plans and stuff like that.
Right, but it still gives them, like I said, this would eliminate this whole thing. And, I mean, I have more questions, but for the applicant, but Commissioner Vasquez?
The answer, but thank you, Vice Mayor. So I'd like to have a little bit better understanding on how the applicant lied to staff. Can you, because I just need to have a more understanding on this.
So during a phone meeting between staff and the applicant's attorney, it was said that the letter was no longer valid, pretty much. And then during the P&Z meeting, it was said that the letter was being rescinded.
The letter was not valid that we had on file?
The one from Volusia County. That's what was told to us.
That we have, it was in our files?
Yes, ma'am.
That letter was no longer good? Is that what you're saying?
That's what we were told, yes.
And we were told that the letter was going to be resent by the county again to replace the one that's on file?
They were going to take it away, yes. They were going to rescind it.
Okay. Just wanted to understand that. So this piece of land that we are discussing right now, do we even know what's going to be built there?
No, we do not. We've only had it come in for a pre-application meeting to be platted, but the applicant, I'm sure, could answer that.
Okay. So I'll wait for the applicant to come up.
Anything else? For the applicant? Hear from the applicant?
Kim Booker with Booker & Associates on behalf of Deltona Retail Holdings. First, I'd like to address one. I have never lied about any letter from the county. The county presented a letter back in June of 2023 in connection with the apartment site application. That letter pertained to the apartment site application, of which this portion of this a motion was made by the commission to table it and to bring it back as soon as possible, because there was some concern about apartments being put on this site. So that's the reason it was taken out. This application, and you can shake your head all day, you have some personal and vendetta against me. It shouldn't be taken out against Frank DeMarche. I don't know if it's I'm too tall or too blonde, I don't know, but apparently you go to a lot of trouble to try to get at me. You can make any complaint you want and I will defend it. But the comment that was made was it was addressed. At the hearing in June, it was addressed.
Excuse me. Thank you.
The letter actually just asked the question, what were the prop share payments paid? Back in June and July, but June, we met with the county at that point and explained to them what the development order provided, which nobody seems to want to read. And at that point in time, they didn't have any idea what the prop share payments were, what was done for construction, and what apparently, and I would like to know, from the time the planning board made their decision until today, the presentation changed without us being notified. The staff report still recommends approval, but the county, or your city's presentation recommends that it not be approved, or that you need more time to determine the history. I'd just like to note that. Two, when we met with the county, which we met with the county as well before the meeting that the city had, and from what I've heard, the description of our meeting was quite distorted. At our meeting, we had a clear conversation of what the development agreement provides. The development agreement, as Tad Casbier indicated, is the most detailed development agreement he has ever seen. It contains all of the traffic analysis. It contains all the trip information. It breaks down each phase of the traffic analysis. And this is the original development order. and that we were extremely protected by that development order, that the county had no dog really in the fight, that they could make recommendations to the city, but the city controlled concurrency, which is true. Our concurrency was established by our development agreement, which is still valid. Now, you can make statements all day about it containing assumptions regarding 2013, but our development agreement specifically has language in it that says because of the economic times, there will be consideration given to those deadlines. Because this was in 2010 when the market had dropped out. You couldn't get anybody to come into the city of Deltona and the site. And so the original order was part of a DRI, of which there was tremendous amounts of money spent on traffic analysis. So regardless that there's been time passed, in 2019, when Amazon came through, which this is another thing that the county noted, the city of Deltona waived their prop share payments from Amazon on the phase 1 portion of it. They had $5.2 million in roadway improvements, which have been completed as to phase 1, but they didn't require any additional monies for prop share at that time. As now you're talking, statements have been made about Howland being E, which is not failing yet, but it's on its way. I would assume it's not because of Deltona retail holdings development, because it's very limited. We have 1 million square feet of Amazon that's been approved. We have 1.5 million second phase that's been approved, which obviously impacts Howland Boulevard. So to continue to try to break and breach a development agreement which provides for traffic concurrency, provides vested rights on behalf of the developer. That's not an evil thing. That is something that is done every day in development. It's also illegal for you to continue to try to break it. This request should be simple. This is the most simple request ever. It is 140 acres now. We have specific 900,000 square feet of commercial, certain 652 multifamily, and we have 17,000 trips reserved under the development agreement. The request is to add 25 acres without increasing any entitlements. We're not asking for any more entitlements. The request is to put what the existing entitlements are into a larger bag so you can spread it out. Maybe you can have more green space. It's entirely we're not asking for any more development that would require trips or traffic studies. And I've been through this so many times. I apologize if I'm getting loud, but it seems like this is a no-brainer. This should be the easiest decision in the world. It lessens the density and intensity of the project. It should lessen the impact of traffic. It should not be a fight with the city of Deltona over this request. This is a no-brainer. This is something that's good for the city. It lessens the impact of the development, but instead we have to listen to personal attacks repeatedly because this developer wants to try to develop his land. Okay, the report specifically states, your staff report, which remained unchanged, specifically states that the request is consistent with the comprehensive plan, does not add or request any additional trips from the original vested entitlements. The additional land will result in more integrated and efficient development pattern and unifying the former ICC PUD property, which actually was done in 2004, was adopted, an ordinance was adopted, approved a PUD for commercial development, of which if we wanted to pursue that would create an additional density, but was left on the attorney's desk of Deltona. It was never recorded. Okay, so the facts were skewed as presented. There was an original development agreement. It was signed. It was left on Roland Blossom's desk, and I think the city attorney can verify that information. They do have the original agreement. But instead, the property has been left without entitlements, because the city failed to record the development agreement. Okay, and that's stated in the actual staff report. It was never executed or recorded. It doesn't say by whom, but the city is the one that had it on their desk. It also states, your staff report says the applicant owner is not requesting the use's intensity cap of 900,000 square feet, nor any other development parameter be altered to account for the additional acreage. If incorporated into the Deltona Village BPUD, the 25.96 acres of land would be subject to the current BPUD use, allocations, dimensions, requirements, density, intensity controls, etc. BPUD, the Deltona Village BPUD, in light of the comprehensive plan, and deems the request consistent per the following goal and policies. They're referring to policy, Florida Land Use Future Land Use, 1-2.3, Future Land Use Policy 1-7.16. Specifically, they talk about it protecting the adopted level of services under policy Future Land Use 1-7.16C. The actual adoption and increasing the size of the 25.96 acres without increasing the entitlements will protect the level of service of the services provided by the city and the standards. Your report also says it's consistent with the Activity Center Future Land Use designation. It will approximately grant land use entitlements to the subject property. However, the addition of land does not provide an overall increase in vested densities for the Deltona City BPUD. It creates a more unified development pattern, larger fees interpreted. This is all from your report. Much less constrained Deltona Village development package by adding the additional land. Adding the subject parcel to the BPUD will better position the Deltona Village project for development. Therefore, the inclusion of the exception parcel within the Deltona BPUD will be economically beneficial to the city by facilitating more complete development package. The entitlements of the project will not change, and the addition of extra area to the BPUD will essentially reduce the intensity of the project. Therefore, traffic generation volumes will not change. There will be no increase. Because of the land added, there will be no increase of density intensity. The use allocation will not change, nor will other parameters of the Deltona Village BPUD. The BPUD amendment will create opportunity for a more unified and integrated development pattern being managed by a single entity. More functional development patterns offered by the amendment is consistent with the comprehensive plan and further city economic development goals for a greater service sector presence and expanded employment opportunity. Staff recommends Planning and Zoning Board recommended approval. That's what your report says. Now we can get into the individual development orders. As in June and July of 2023, you adopted a development order, an amendment to the agreement that specifically incorporated all of the information that was in the city manager Chang's letter. So we can go into those as well. Specifically, and a contract is a contract. It's entered into by all parties. It is not, also negotiations. And so you can't just disregard a contract that you entered into with the city without subjecting the city to liability. If you haven't figured that out. Yeah, well, what did I get beforehand? Okay, the development agreement. The original development agreement establishes the traffic mitigation, and I can go through this ad nauseum. It specifically establishes that it contains language. The city acknowledges that due to poor economic conditions which exist in retail development industry, the TIA phase completion date shall be extended to coincide with the recovery of the national economy. Okay? So, The original development order also contained Exhibit B of the development agreement, which referenced this particular site on the page number 32, recorded as 6482, page 4265. Exhibit B specifically references the ICC, what I refer to as the ICC property, and I should be doing the thing here. Here we go. This is the ICC property. This is the exhibit I'm referring to, Exhibit B, for the development agreement. As you can see, the top part of the page shows the ICC property, which was part of the TIA that was incorporated into this agreement. In ordinance number 26-2016, the Central Florida Emergency Room, freestanding emergency room, was approved in this area. It's a portion of the property that's not part of what we are including. In that development order, the city states the subject property was included within the traffic impact study submitted to the county December 2009, which covered 804,000 square feet out of the 900,000 square feet in the Deltona Village BPUD, and the Interstate Commerce Center, which was never recorded as a BPUD, which is what we were just talking about. A separate TIS was submitted to the city of Deltona, dated December 2009, which covered 96,000 square feet along the southern boundary of the Deltona Village BPUD. The subject property is geographically referenced in the TIS, and therefore it is the interpretation of the city of Deltona that the transportation provisions in the development agreement for the Deltona Village BPUD, recorded at 6482, page 4234, apply to the subject property. The subject property is considered a subphase of the county TIA Phase 1 and will be responsible for the prop share payments as outlined in sections 10 and 11 of the development agreement for Deltona Village BPUD. Those are all the specifically referenced in the development agreement improvements that were made as part of the prop share portion of it. We completed those in the ordinance and amendment that you adopted in July. You acknowledged that they are completed. You specifically have said, and this paragraph is the one I just read about the mitigation, but you specifically have said the vested rights referenced herein include access as illustrated as part of the MBDP OPD and all traffic trip reservations as set forth in paragraph 10 and 11 of the original development, Deltona Village BPUD, Deltona Development Agreement dated February 15, 2010 for all TI phases and subphases which shall not expire. You also stated that no additional city public roadway improvements shall be required as long as the development program remains consistent with the approved trip reservations detailed with the original Deltona Village BPUD development agreement dated February 15, 2010. This next slide is a presentation of all the impact fees that are being paid in this project. Specifically, you received already $1 million from Integra Phase 1. You have another $1 million that are coming from Integra Phase 2. You also have the total approximately of 8.7 million, a little over 8.7 million in impact fees from this project, in addition to the 1.9 million that was for the prop share construction. There were improvements made. Our development agreement acknowledges it. So I don't think there's any real lawful objection or argument that has not been done. Clearly, this application is consistent with the comprehensive plan. It reduces traffic and density by spreading existing entitlements over more land. The proposed 25.96 acres was included in the traffic impact study from 2009 and is part of the existing trip reservations under the Deltona Village PUD, not requesting additional uses or trips. The agreement specifically provides in the one that was adopted in July that if we're not requesting any additional trips or uses, we don't have to complete a traffic analysis. Despite all the name calling and everything that goes back and forth, I am here to respectfully request that the simple application to join 25.96 acres into the Deltona Village BPUD without asking for any additional entitlements or uses be granted as it is in the best interest of the city. The county has no lawful requirement in connection with this. We're not asking for any development. We're not asking for any additional development. We have TRITs that are reserved under our development agreement. All we're asking is to spread it into a bigger pie. Nothing you do can take away what we already have as far as entitlements, and that's all we're asking to keep. So we would respectfully request, as I calm down, for you to move to approve this application.
I'm sorry, I just a couple questions, Ms. Booker.
Yeah.
You've already spent $1.9 million in road improvements already.
Correct. We've made
And now, pretty soon, you're going to be spending. They're going to be paying the city another $8.5 million to the city.
8.7
So
in
that-
impact fee credits,
So
or
we're
impact fees rather.
So we're right back to the 10 million that the number
Yes,
that's
been thrown around as some number out of the sky. Yes.
Okay. And do you know when that? Just curiosity, that 8.5 is going to be paid to the city?
It's as the development, as the building permit.
Right, as it goes.
Right, as it's built.
Has there been anything?
Integra Phase 1 has paid $1 million for their CO. Yeah.
Has there been any interest already in that property to build? Because I've heard rumors about a Sam's Club coming there and all kinds of other
We would love
crazy
that,
stuff.
but we know.
That's what I've heard. I've heard that there's
No.
a Sam's Club coming there. There's a.
No, in fact, we've had, no.
Has anybody from the commission been over there and talked to you about letting certain businesses come, or anybody tried to come?
Oh, there have been a number of phone calls that people asking if certain individuals have talked to the commercial broker, but nothing specific.
Okay, I'll save the rest of my questions. Commissioner McCool?
Thank you, Vice Mayor, and bless your heart is all I'm going to say. I want to bring this up here, that this is sent to our staff here from the county. And it said in 12/14/2009, TIA was prepared by Kimley Horn and Associates on behalf of the developer. And hold on just a second. Let me just say this. They want you to look over here so you don't look in here. So I want to reiterate that. And they want to threaten you like you don't have a choice in this matter, but you do. And I'm telling you what our partner at the county says, verbatim. The TIA was prepared by Kimley Horn on behalf of the developer and approved by the city and county. The study, typical to standard requirements for a TIA, calculated the background traffic before adding the proposed traffic from the development to determine which roads were failing and therefore required a PFS payment to mitigate the proposed impact. Background traffic is calculated by taking the latest, not 2008. How long ago was 2008? The latest traffic counts and applying a growth factor that is applied for each year from the year of the latest traffic count until the year of the projected build-out of the project. The county's concern is that the build-out date, the background traffic calculated, was off by a large margin. They're saying that the traffic count that was presented was off by a large margin. The TIA projected a 2013 build-out date. That's what that TIA took into consideration. This project was supposed to be done in 2013. Has been surpassed, and a majority of the site has still not been developed. If the build-out date is revised to 2028, it was picked for a simple calculation, then the background growth since 2008 is 4 times what was calculated in the TIA. The significance of this study on which the PFS payment was based is no longer valid. They're telling you, the county's telling you that the 2008 traffic impact analysis is no longer valid due to assumptions that were found to be incorrect. The study should be updated based on an updated build-out date and the PFS payment revised accordingly. So what I'm telling you here from this letter from the county, and what I am asking, because this is no personal vendetta, I'm looking out for my residents, which is what I got voted in to do. Congratulations on being tall and blonde. There are 1 million more like you. So that's not the case. I'm incensed that my people are being taken care of, and that in essence, what you're asking, because of the incorrect stuff here, is that each one of the households in Deltona take $400 out of their household to pay for what you're not paying. So I also am a fan of our comp plan. In our comp plan here, when we talk about intergovernmental coordination element, it says, and it tells us that we have to coordinate with the county here. And I'll be glad in my motion also to go down the rest of them, because if you look at our capital improvement element and you look at our intergovernmental coordination plan, and you also look at our economic development element, there's plenty in here that says that this should be reevaluated for accuracy. That's what I'm asking. I'm not trying to get a developer not to develop. I'm trying to get a fair share so that my taxpayers don't have to make up the difference in between the two. So just please understand that. At this moment here, I would like to make a motion.
Still more people.
Okay.
Commissioner Villa-Vasquez.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. So I just wanted to clarify something on my first question about resending the letter from the county to the city. I know what resending means. I just wanted to hear from staff as to how the county lied to our staff here in the city.
No.
I mean, the developer or the lawyer, for that matter. So I just want a clarification directly from staff as how they were lied to. That's number one. Number two, how do we know? We don't even know what's going to be built there. So we don't even know how many trips whatever is going to be built there is going to take. Do you know what's going to be built there?
We have to comply with our existing development order. We have certain number of trips, 17,000 trips, and as we develop, there's a spreadsheet, right, that as we develop, we no longer have trips, we can't develop. So if it's within our development agreement that's approved now, then we can put it there. But if it's something that exceeds that, then we would have to come back.
Okay. The other, I don't know. I mean, we just had a request to open up another business on Howland Boulevard to bring in more traffic. So are we closing down Howland Boulevard for future commercial? Is that what we're doing? Are we not open for business anymore? That's my question. That's all I got to say.
I got a couple of things. I'm not trying to. Right now, so the $1.9 million in road improvements, another $8 million coming to the city. So that's another $8 million we're getting coming in the city that we didn't have last year. Whatever it is, So we didn't get it last year, the year before, but now that's another $8.5 million that we're going to get in our city for tax money. Everybody's talking about restaurants. I think this is a place they'd put restaurants, just my opinion. And not to bash anybody, but we sit up in this dais all the time talking about the county forgets us, the county forgets us, the county forgets us. They don't care what we do in Deltona. And all of a sudden, one time they write a letter and everything stops because the county said something. Well, there's a lot of issues, the roads right there. We just spent a lot of money to redo them roads. The Amazon just paid all kinds of money out. There was a project before that, $1.9 million in the roads. If the roads right there were fixed for Amazon, I don't get where, if they were just fixed then.
Have you driven there?
Sorry, I can't. But the traffic there is insane. It is insane. But we're as residents, we're all talking about wanting restaurants. We all talk about wanting businesses. But at the same time, when we say no to a business for that, you can possibly put restaurants. And if the first restaurants are going to come to Deltona are probably going to be right around that neighborhood. Sorry, but that's where they're going to come. They're not going to come on 415 on Osteen. They're going to come right there. That's where they're going to go. They want right off the highway. The hospital's there. They don't want to stop. They don't want to stop coming in town and stop at a dollar store, go to Taco Bell and leave, because that's all we're going to get if we keep doing what we keep doing. And we have enough dollar stores. But other than that, Commissioner Burbank.
Thank you, Vice Mayor Staroza. We did make an agreement, and I'm loath to break that. It's what we do. And if the agreement had the economy gone skyrocketing, we would not be sitting here talking now, because things would be going well for us. And as far as traffic goes, Well, as far as which anything goes, as far as concurrency goes, I don't believe and I do not trust any of our former assumptions. Commissioner McCool herself will testify that she no longer believes school board assumptions when they review concurrency because they don't talk about teachers. We thought we had stormwater concurrency licked, and then we have an Ian. And honest to gosh, given just by how many boxes, cardboard boxes I have delivered to my home, just about how many meals I have delivered to my home, I have my weed delivered to my home. I'm not driving as much, and I assume a lot of other people are not driving as much also. It may be their assumption as to anticipated traffic growth is not what we think it is. But ultimately, we made an agreement with these people. We signed a contract. To break it now is bad faith, and that would reflect poorly on us, not just in Deltona, but in the wider community. Thank you, Vice Mayor.
Commissioner McCool.
Jessica or Ms. Wallace or city manager, do one of you have the calculated numbers by the county that the county has sent to us? The traffic numbers?
We have BCC on the line to answer any questions regarding that because they were the ones that did do the study for us.
Okay, can we bring them up, please? Traffic engineer.
Good evening, everyone. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, this is Revankata, project manager with BCC, and I'm here for city's planning department. So, again, you may have seen the trips capping at 17,000 for the 900K. It's based on the trip generation rates that they have used back in 2009. So, you know, as an example, the average rate they have used for the evening peak hour trips.
Excuse me. If this is, everybody got, how did he get sworn in to any of this? If this is all,
Thank you.
I mean, he's supposed to be sworn in. I mean, I don't know who this man is from Adam and I have no idea.
Nobody does.
That's my point. I mean, but
Jessica just introduced him.
I hate to say it, but he hasn't been sworn in or nothing. So I would think, or as asking the city attorney, I think we would have to exclude that. Okay.
Could you go ahead, Madam Attorney, please?
Well, I get he's an engineer, but nobody knew he was coming. The applicant,
Sir, could you raise your right hand? Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth, so help you God? And what is your name? And would you tell us your name?
This is Revankata with BCC Engineering.
Okay, thank you.
What's his bona fides? Who is this guy?
Does anybody, I'm sorry to bring it up again, but nobody knows who this person, I mean.
Jessica just said who it was. It is the engineer for BCC Engineering who did the other updated traffic.
How do we know that's the real Anita Bradshaw?
BCC Engineering is who we use for our traffic consulting. They do many of our projects looking at the TIAs and the methodology.
Have you met with him before?
I have spoken with him multiple times.
Have you ever met with him face to face?
No, I have not.
This is my point. How do we know?
I've spoken with him many times. I email him multiple times. I've emailed him today, and I spoke with him on the phone today as well.
I don't think this is right. I don't think we could use. What do you think? You're a city attorney. I don't think. I mean, nobody knows who he is. We have no idea. Our planner hasn't never met him.
No, I've never met him. So,
Thanks for coming.
You're such an asshole.
Thank you.
Sorry. Have a good day.
Unfucking.
Any other questions? Public comments?
I'm too stunned to speak.
Okay.
I'm just too stunned.
There's no one withstanding, so I'm going to call people without standing. William Mayberry, please.
Didn't have standing.
Eric Alexander?
Commissioners, Eric Alexander, 1470 Braden Circle, and also on the Planning and Zoning Board. I don't know where to start with this. Commissioner McCool, do not sit there and say this is not a personal vendetta when you can sit there and insult another woman. You're tall and blonde, congratulations. Are you kidding me? Would you say that? Not to mention, you spend all this time, you're here for the citizens, but you're worried about a little 25 acres that was included years ago, and might I add, then got into the whole recession time, or when we went down in 2008, 9, 10. It took us a long time to get up. No one expected him to develop that property at that time, and I think you need to pick your battles. This is the most ridiculous thing I've ever seen. You waste the time of this city on. This is just 25 acres that was already included, and the city screwed up getting it filed. So now, all of a sudden, you've got some burr up your rear end. I don't know if it's against her or him, but this is just absolutely absurd that you're wasting this kind of time, and now you got stacks of papers and talking to people. You're spending this much time on just putting in another 25 acres. You let Amazon put $1 million. We got another $2 million worth or 2 million square feet of buildings causing traffic. We designated this as the commercial area. It's going to grow, and what's going to happen? Cars are going to come. We can't say this is our biggest. We want all these restaurants and we want everything. Oh, but we don't want anybody to actually come and drive to go to them. Traffic is going to continue to grow and continue to grow in that area. That's our commercial area. Great. We got a hospital. We got Amazon. Those impacted traffic immensely. Not this little 25 acres that is sticking out here by the exit, which will probably be the very last thing that's ever developed. And my understanding, I didn't know Mr. DeMarsh was a developer. I thought he was a landowner. He's trying to get it developed. He's trying to find people that will bring in good commercial, and it's going to grow there. I don't understand what your issue is here. I do not believe for a second that it's for your people. That's how you got on here. That's how you got up there in the first place, making a bunch of noise, a bunch of crap, and you got people to believe you. That is not the situation. When you're up here, your duty, and I want to read this, and another attorney wrote, I saw this in the paper, and I tried to say this on the board, to the zoning board. The quasi-decision of both the planning board and the city commission to either approve or deny the pending application must be based on legally competent evidence, which is limited solely to those facts that are actually relevant to the pending application. Mere opinions as to appropriateness are just that. On any new proposal are just that, and they're completely irrelevant to the city's lawful consideration of this rezone application. I can't believe you spent this much time fighting this. I don't know what your issue is, but you clearly have one. And you just spent time, you're talking in the microphone, you're mad, you're pissed off about that 25 acres. And I can't believe it for a second why that, don't tell me that doesn't have some kind of, just reeks. And our planning and zoning board, when we go to vote on it, we're stopped because, there's more information. We need to do new studies. The studies were done, and this was, again, probably the last piece of the property that's even going to affect that whole area. Hopefully the bigger part in front of the theater will build, and we'll get your Cheesecake Factory. By the way, there's a reason there's only one within about 50 miles. As a commercial realtor, I can tell you, we've all tried. It's a long way from coming to that. But meanwhile, you're making this guy jump through hoops. He has paid millions of dollars. I have to say, thank you. My time's up.
William Mayberry, please.
Just not saying that. Point counter.
Hello, me again. This is one of those really hotly contentious issues. This thing has been going on for, is it 14, 15 years now? I think with it being quasi-judicial, we might be screwed, just to be blunt about it, based on previous administrations of, mishandling of documents or, any of the problems that occur over such a long period of time. And you're absolutely right that we need to have limits on these types of contracts going forward. As a city, we are kind of stuck into having to honor our commitments and agreements. That said, I don't think that we want to be on the hook for paying for everything. When it comes to building out the infrastructure to support our new developments, I don't think the developers want us to falter in creating that infrastructure to get to their developments. Who wants to build a gigantic warehouse that nobody can get to, or a Sam's Club that nobody could get to? And that's really our piece in all of this, is determining that infrastructure component. Who wants their toilets clogged up inside of their restaurants? Who wants their water cut off to those facilities? We're responsible for that, and we have to work in good faith with the developers who also want these things to succeed. And I do believe there's a lot of bad faith going back and forth on both sides of these things right now. Again, there's so much history of this. So we have to honor the commitment going forward. That's what I hear. That's what I understand. How do we get to the point where we have the development that residents like myself and others have been wanting for years, driving by, seeing the sign of Deltona Village coming soon, and nothing materializes. It's a black eye on our community and development. It's a joke, like the I-4 eyesore down in Altamont Springs. These types of things deter other developers away. But again, we don't want to develop too quickly without a real understanding. I understand the need for current TIAs. And again, like I said, we want to put in the infrastructure that will support the businesses and these new developments. And we have to share part of that cost. If they can bring in more capital to pay for those types of things, I welcome that. We have to work on our budgets to determine how we will go forward and cover those operational costs. Those are all the details that have to be worked out in planning and zoning. And maybe that was worked out 13 years ago, but things have changed now. Again, we're locked into the commitments and the contracts on it. I don't know if there's any room for cooperation between the commission putting on demands of saying, is there a time frame that we could require for developments going forward? Or even in this case, will you develop it within the next couple of years? And then putting on us, we will provide X amount of money to help cover the cost of the infrastructure that's needed to support these new developments. There's a lot in there. I'm really not sure. It's extraordinarily complicated. I don't know that I mean, as much as I want the development going in there, and I think I would have to vote yes contractually for it, but I don't want to, because I feel, again, like there's a lot of bad faith on it. And this is the kind of stuff that Anita had always went through as well. And she comes up there and, everybody's like, oh, I can't believe she voted for that. But then you feel put up against the wall, because are we honoring our commitments or not? We can say no and vote no, and we're just going to be here 13 more years down the line. I think we have to work together to try to find a solution to that. And maybe we have to take a leap of good faith.
Richard Bellick, please.
So, thank you.
Vice Mayor, I'd like to extend I'm sorry to the attorney here being accused of all that stuff with no foundation. She had nothing to back up what she was saying. And also, know you can't see it, Jody, but she's sitting back there like this. and doing everything to obstruct the attorney and make her life uncomfortable. She's doing her job. And let's have some class. She makes up stories that you yourself even said she's touched. But anyway, we have a city attorney here. Does she know nothing about this? Does she know? She wasn't even swearing in witnesses. She's sitting over there in the daze. I think the only time she woke up is when she heard 10 million mentioned. I mean, come on, this is a real comedy show. And, certain commissioners, they got to stop watching Perry Mason and stuff, because all that stuff that she said is not true. She can't back it up. But she went on and on and on. And I love the part, this is the one that got me. She said, my constituents, it's going to cost them $400. I don't want that to happen. But yet she votes, and let's not take hundreds of thousands of dollars out of here. Come on, what is this, a Monopoly studio? She's fighting for $400 for her constituents, but yet she votes to keep her, and she takes hundreds of thousands of dollars. I mean, this is like better than the Boston Brinks job for her. I mean, it's on and on and on with that nonsense of hers, with papers, and come on, are we supposed to go through this time of night? And then what happened? It all blew up in her face. Now, her greatest achievement tonight will be when I go home, and I'm home, she'll have a little to say, oh, that Richard Belloc's this, Richard Belloc's that. But, oh, and another thing, I want to say this. When I had the big C in my thyroid, and Jeremy Steinbaum cut my thyroid out, I didn't say a word about it. I didn't want the people in Toledo, Ohio, or Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania. I don't need them to know about it, and I don't need to harp on this all my life. I mean, I'm just so sick of this now. This is crazy. You've seen an exhibition tonight. You've seen what she is. I mean, you people up there are saying she's touched. She proved it tonight. And once again, I got to apologize to this woman. I can't believe this.
Carolyn Hickinson, please.
I kind of wish Brandy was still here. I don't think that we're so off base. And Dana, I love you so much. I mean, out of all of the commissioners, you are like my favorite, okay? But we want development, okay? But we also want a TIA. We also want that. We also want to know traffic. We also want that traffic study is 15 or 16 years old. We also want to know what that impact. Do we need more fire? Do we need more EMTs? Do we need more? What do we need for the infrastructure around that area? What do we have to do? 15 years ago is a long time ago. My God, people could have had 2 and 3 children by now. I want the commerce. I want the development. I want the Cheesecake Factory. I want that. Okay? But I want to know how hard it's going to be for me to get from my home off of Howland to I-4 and not kill myself on the way. I want both. Is it so hard to want both? I just want both. It's not an either or for me, it's both. I want both. I want the development, I want the commerce, I want to know the traffic is good and that we're not going to need more police or fire or, you know, because of traffic, that we're going to be able to have both. That's what I want. I want both. I could not be, probably not people going to like me for this, but I just want both. That's all.
Vice Mayor, that closes public comments.
One more time. Commissioner McCool.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Mayor.
I read the ordinance, please, first.
Sure.
You have to make a vote first.
Ordinance number 02-2020.
We haven't made a motion, so I'm just trying to finish up my comments here. Thank you very much. First of all, on the matter of, my problem is not with the development in that area. We all want development in that area. But not in the recent history of any of the large development, any development that we have we accepted nor allowed a TIA that is that old to dictate what the real-time conditions are for that area. The reason that I'm having such a hard time with this is because there has not been a fair and proportionate share determined by modern matrices by what the traffic is really doing out in that area. And you can't, this 25 acres, if you remember, was pulled out of here, and I was told, don't worry about it, because when it comes back up for a vote, then we can get our money then. But it wasn't. The county has a problem. The county has a problem with the age of the TIA. And, you know, there are notes as old as this is concerning TIA in that area. So my passion is not for a human, a person. It is about having the most updated reports, because nowhere else in our development would we allow numbers to stand that are that old. And if we do this, then we're acknowledging the fact that we don't care what the county says. As far as concurrency goes, that's a county road out there. We don't care what any input would be about our stewardship of our money that we already have sitting on the table here. And I'm asking that if we are so convinced that a TIA doesn't matter, then what's the big fight for having one updated? What is the problem with asking for numbers that are up to date as far as our traffic goes? It is the number one thing that I hear when we talk about the quality of life is stormwater and traffic impacts. Number two, as far as a lie being told, I would like to ask our Public Works Director, who was on the call also. Madam Public Works Director, may I ask you what was said regarding the county rescinding the letter? Because I believe that there is confusion there. That it was stated in a meeting 2 weeks ago in Planning and Zoning and on a conference call before that, that the county didn't really mean the letter that they sent, or the engineer didn't. And it was said that the county was going to rescind that letter, rendering it useless for any of the information or any of the input. Could you please reiterate that for clarity?
Could I ask, Phyllis, will you be sworn in, please? You raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the truth and nothing but the truth to help you God? Thank you.
During the conference call that we had, which included staff, the city attorney, we called Ms. Booker to explain to her our position going into planning and zoning that evening. Talked about the letter specifically that the county wrote, and it was my recollection that Ms. Booker said that letter was being rescinded, and I specifically asked her, could she send me any type of documentation regarding that, even if it was in an email transmission with communication, and that is my recollection of what transpired that day.
And Ms. Wallace, may I ask you also, were there not Jessica, or you can answer that, there were 4 pieces of additional information asked for so that there could be a clean file on this development, correct? 4 or 5 pieces?
Yes, ma'am.
Have those yet been submitted to you?
I'll let Jessica answer that.
Thank you.
During the P&Z meeting, the only thing I requested was a PUD application be filled and signed out, and that was given to me.
Okay, there were I just wanted to make sure that we had the information gathered also with what she was talking about. So to clarify, that's what we're talking about that was said regarding the letter from the county. Thank you, Jessica. Yeah, that's it. I mean, the commission's going to vote the way the commission's going to vote.
I understand the traffic study and everything else, but my thing is, you want to pay the developer. People want the developer to pay the money, and I get it and I understand it, because I'm fine with it. I mean, people need to pay their way. They're about to pay $8-point-something million, and you did $1.9 million in road improvement. I mean, I'm just wondering how much more we're supposed to make you pay. I mean, because $8.5 million that you're about to give us, that seems like you're paying for something. I mean, you're not getting something for free. You're about to give us a check for $8.5 million that we didn't have before. That's a big burden off other bills that we got to pay in the city. I mean, that's an extra $8 million we weren't going to have. So just my opinion, it seems like he's starting to pay it. But that's just my opinion. Commissioner Vila-Vasquez.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. I'm so happy to see how concerned the county is about Deltona for a change. And I'm hoping that they are this much interested in helping with Saxon Boulevard stormwater, because we have been behind them to come up with the stormwater on Saxon Boulevard so that we can get more business on that road that is right by I-4. And having said that, I would like to make a motion because this has gone far enough. I hereby move to approve ordinance number 02-2024, amending the Deltona Village BPUD to rezone and include an additional plus 25.96 acres of land to the Deltona Village BPUD.
I will heartily second that motion.
May I read the ordinance, please?
Attorney, read the ordinance, please.
Ordinance number 02-2024, an ordinance of the City of Deltona, Florida, providing for an amendment to the Deltona Village Business Plan Unit Development, BPUD, to rezone and include an additional plus or minus 25.96 acres of land to be included within the Deltona Village BPUD, providing for severability and providing for an effective date.
Have a vote?
$2 million. Wow.
Motion passes 4-1. Moving on, old business, new business. Consent items, there's none. Consent items, there's none.
Time, we're done.
Commissioner Special reports and requests. Commissioner Caldwell?
I have none.
Commissioner McCool? Commissioner Avila-Vasquez?
None.
Commissioner Burbank?
Not at this time, next time, maybe.
City Attorney comments? Evidently none.
We are adjourned.
Marcia, do you have any
Do
comments?
you have any comments? No. City Manager comments? City Commission comments? Commissioner Burbank?
I move we adjourn.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Caldwell? Commissioner McCool? Commissioner Vasquez?
Yes. So I have a couple of answers, if I may, to the comments or questions made by the residents, especially Michael, about the pool table at the center. The pool table he's requesting is for the Council on Aging. The city does not run the Council on Aging. And when that came up, it was denied by the inspection of the fire department because of where that pool table was going to be put. It was going to be put next to another pool table, which obstructed exits from that spot. So it was the fire department inspection that denied them to have a second pool table there. And I forward Michael the email from the fire department inspection. And even if they approved it, it won't be the city. It would be the Council on Aging. Let's see what else. I think that was, oh yes, one other item that was brought up about the Amazon roads. We did not pay for those roads. Amazon paid to have them fixed. I think it was Normandy, the other crossing road, and some of the areas on the other side. So the city did not pay for that. It was Amazon who paid for all those fixes. Let's see what else. And there's something came up about the range, the salary range. I just wanted to say that the Holland did discuss the salary ranges with staff. They discussed it with the committee that was selected for the city manager's hiring, and it was also discussed with the elected officials. So it wasn't something that they came up by themselves. They did discuss it, and that's how they came up with those figures. Marsha, something came up that said, okay, forget about that. And again, I want to apologize to Brandy for what came up, but we can't see from up here what's being televised, from this center here. And I'm sure the city manager will address it. I don't think it was anything personal or just because of who the person up there at the dais was, but we don't know what's being shown on television. But for whatever the reason, I extend my apologies about that. And the Memorial Day Motorcycle Group, I did attend one of your events at one time. It was very nice, across the street from Fountain Plaza. So I would like you to leave the information so they could share it with our city manager. Other than that, thank you. Have a good night, everyone, and thank you for coming out.
Okay, I'll make mine quick. Don't be running away. Don't get mad and run away. So, you lost your spot.
No, one more. Listen.
Quick.
Okay. I just wanted to bring out, we had our CompStat meeting this week, I think it was, and I was so happy to hear the Sheriff, Mike Chitwood, put our fire department up on a pedestal, higher than a pedestal. I've never seen, one organization compliment the other one, but it was such a nice compliment for our fire department, how they work together on that shooting and the fire of the house recently. So I would like to thank the Sheriff's Department for acknowledging our fire department for having done that. Thank you.
Okay, mine are quick. We keep mentioning about the future land use codes, all the different stuff. Can we get a workshop pretty quickly? And we can put 2 or 3 items on this workshop to nail them out. We keep talking about it, and it never seems to ever transpire.
Yes, sir. We're working with the consultant, Axios, and we're getting something scheduled in February, they've assured me.
Yeah, because we just need to get some of this stuff done. I mean, a lot of times it's getting old. We bring things up here at the bench, we say things at meetings, and all of a sudden that's the last we hear of it again. It's just not necessarily this particular time, but we brought up things last year at this time, an animal shelter that we made a consensus about, and nothing ever happened. An abused domestic violence shelter, we brought that up, and we all got consensus on it, and we never heard anything about it. And we got an $850,000 house we bought. The electricity is still on, and we're not even using the house. I mean, we could use it for numerous different things. I know there's wells on the property that the old manager said we can use the water from there, but I mean, there's still the house that's sitting there. We can use the house for something. And the other comment is, I hear about this pool table they want. There's a pool table sitting in that house.
No, you can't.
Well, I'm just saying, there's a pool table in a house that we paid $850,000 for. They can get a free pool table. Or wherever they can find a place.
Well, he wants
a pool table sit in the house. I'd rather take it out of the house and let them guys have it. Not necessarily they can't use it, but maybe.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Maybe they can have somewhere else to put it. I'm just saying, there's a free pool table sitting in there.
It's not the pool table, Vice Mayor. It's the location where they want it.
You're right. I said if they have somewhere else they can put one. It's a free pool table sitting there in an empty house. Oh, forget it. It just, this way we don't have to, helping people that are on fixed incomes and don't have the money, there's a free pool table if they have a place to use it. We don't need it sitting in an empty house over there that we own. But anyway, other than that, that's all good. Have a good night. Meeting adjourned.
Not too bad.